We'd like to call our April Commissioners meeting to order. I ask Commissioner Belcher to lead us in our invocation, Commissioner Buzzio to lead us in our pledge.
Let's stand in reverence to the Lord. Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we ask you to grant your blessings to this meeting tonight. Watch over us, look after us, care for us, each and every one in this room. Give us the courage and strength to do what is right, do what is honorable in your sight. In your strong Son's name, amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now concerning the evening's agenda, are there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the evening's agenda? Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, 7-0. Well, item D, public comments. This is unique. We have none.
Right along.
Consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to remove item 2 for discussion, item 7 for discussion, and item 14 for discussion.
Give me 1 second.
2, 7, and 14.
2, 7, and 14.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Okay. Now concerning the remainder of the consent agenda, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? 6-1. The item 2 will be number 2 under item for discussion. Item 7 will be 3. And item 14 will be 4 under G. Okay, items for presentation. Ms. Lisa Woolard.
So I brought my bag of goodies. So I have 2 things for you today. You know, and I come annually to read the proclamations and ask for you guys. And ask for y'all, if y'all will please sign, if you'll please sign the proclamations. The first proclamation that I have before you is the proclamation for Child Abuse Prevention Month. As you know, April has always been deemed Child Abuse Prevention Month. And so, of course, our babies are our biggest priority. We want to see that they will have a great future. So in signing this, of course, that is what you are saying. So I'm going to read this for the rest of the crowd since they already have a copy of this. This is the Child Abuse Prevention Month, April 2016. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets, whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development, whereas child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of life to a community, whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children, ensure all children grow to their full potential, Whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Beaufort County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month and call upon its citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, other elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in our community in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the communities in Beaufort County. Adopted this 4th day of April 2016 in Beaufort County, NC. And why this is, so what's happening at this very same time in Hyde County, because we are the Beaufort Hyde Partnership for Children, is David Howard, who is the health director down there, because I can't be in two places at once. I'd like to be. That would be really good if I could figure out how to be in two places at once. But because I can't, he went to Hyde County this year, and I'm here with you guys because I missed you last year since I was down there. But just a little snippet on abuse and neglect. You know, there are 3 types of abuse. There's physical abuse, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse, and of course there's neglect. In 2013, 25 children died at the hands of parents or caregivers. Thankfully, none of those were in Beaufort County, but across the state, 25 children did die. So what you might be interested in is that the CDC in February estimated that the lifelong costs associated with just 1 year of confirmed cases of child maltreatment was approximately $124 billion nationwide. From January of 2012 to January of 2014, we've seen approximately a steady, a flat 700 cases of child abuse and neglect in Beaufort County that are investigated by the DSS over the year. So that's 700 cases a year. So what I'm asking you and everyone that sees this and everybody in this room is, what can you do? You can help parents by supporting parent education programs. You can demonstrate positive discipline techniques. You can create support groups for single parents. You can promote positive play interaction between parents and children. You can reach out to parents who are struggling. You can offer to help parents you know who or might be under stress. You can stay with children while parents take a break. You can offer positive encouragement when you see a parent interacting positively with their child. You can help parents talk with their children about safety issues. But it is all of us responsibility that if you see abuse and neglect, to report it to DSS. So that's part one. So part two is the proclamation for Week of the Young Child. And I'm going to get, Brian, I'm going to give this to you to sit up in your office.
Okay. Thank you.
And if you'll take one, there's an invite there. So the second proclamation is for Week of the Young Child. And in the past, you can see that they have signed it and actually placed it on their wall right over there with all their other trophies. So, the proclamation for Week of the Young Child. Whereas the Beaufort Hyde Partnership for Children and other organizations in conjunction with the National Association for the Education of Young Children are celebrating the Week of the Young Child, April 10th through the 16th, 2016. And whereas these organizations are working to improve early learning opportunities, including early literacy programs that can provide a foundation of learning for children in Beaufort County. And whereas child care providers, teachers, parents, and others who make a difference in the lives of young children in Beaufort County deserve thanks and recognition. And whereas public policies that support early learning for all young children are crucial to young children's futures, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Beaufort County, do hereby proclaim April 10th through the 16th as Week of the Young Child in Beaufort County and encourage all citizens to work to make a good investment. Signed this 4th day of April, 2016. There is a number of activities that happen during Week of the Young Child, but our premier signature event is the Children's Parade down Main Street that happens at 10 o'clock on April the 14th. You should have something about everything down there. So we're always looking for you guys to come in and hold the banner and walk down Main Street. I know many of you have done this for us before. And then we'll have a children's activities, a festival at the festival park from about 10:30 to 1 o'clock. Pamela Kojo will be there playing, and there'll be games and food and things to do. The T-shirt this year looks like this, which is really cool. We had a little kid that designed it. Everybody has feelings, be a buddy, not a bully. We still have T-shirts for sale if any of you gentlemen would like to buy one.
How much are they?
They're $8 if you get small to extra large, but if you go to the 2X or 3X, they're $10.
So you're saying mine is $10?
So the very last thing that I have that I need help with from you guys is as you can see, we need guest readers on that list. We ask for guest readers on Tuesdays, and we have a sign-up sheet. Already I have a couple of folks that have said that they would read. Frankie has said that he would read at Totsland, and Ron has said he'd read at Snowden. But if anyone else would like to read Eastern, the Carol Worlds, by Chocowinity in Washington, Colerains, and number of other places need guest readers. Eastern has to have 2 because they have so many classrooms. So if you would like to read, wouldn't that be a statement? We would love to have you raise your hand. And Head Start. Yeah, we have Head Start.
I got it.
So if you would like to read for us, just give me a call or shoot me an email. We'd love to have you out there.
What's your number?
I do Eastern.
You'll do Easter?
I'll do
Okay.
Easter.
Is that one
Okay.
Tuesday?
Do what?
Is that one Tuesday? Not every Tuesday, is it?
No, it's just next Tuesday.
I just want to be clear.
Tuesday.
But since-
Well, I got your, I can give you a book.
all right, just give me,
Give you a book.
2 hours to Eastern, right?
give me something I can read.
These are 3 and 4-year-olds. I believe you got this.
See Spot run. Spot can run fast.
Maybe not quite that.
The whole book.
Kiss goodnight.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, thanks, Lisa.
There you go.
Let's start practicing.
That's why I brought the book so you can practice up. So that's all I have. I really appreciate y'all participating with me and signing my proclamation and demonstrating to everyone that sees this on TV that the county commissioners love little kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Pam, say your last name. I don't want to mess your name up.
Peckrin.
Beckrin.
Peckrin.
Okay, very good.
Good evening, Chairman Langley, Vice Chairman Brin, Commissioners Belcher, Booth, Richardson, Buzzio, Waters, and Manager Allgood. And thank you for helping with me, Katie, with everything. I'm Pam Peckrin. I'm with Dominion North Carolina Power. I'm the External Affairs Manager for Local and State Affairs. And I have with me tonight some gentlemen who are taking care of this project. So in case when we get into our presentation, if you have any questions and any, audience has questions or for your protocol, we'll be glad to answer them. We have Jerry Jackson. Raise your hand, Jerry. He's our project manager for this project. We have Ben Saunders, who's the senior site and permitting specialist. And we have Greg Math, who is our project marketing manager. And so basically what we're here tonight to talk about is we're here to provide information about a transmission line. We have an existing transmission line that feeds this area, but it is a radial feed, which means if this line goes out, it does not, we have to get it repaired before we can feed the area again. Yes, I will do that. Let's do it. So basically, I'm here tonight to basically go over some details of that and to provide you information and to give support information on what we have going on. Now, you gentlemen have hopefully received the presentation that we passed along. And so we're going to go over that with a PowerPoint presentation, and we'll go through the slides, and I'll briefly touch on them. And if you have any questions as we go along, please don't hesitate to ask because we have the experts with us. Okay? Okay, this basically shows, which you can't see very well, but it shows the existing transmission line, and it basically, we're looking at closing the loop of this transmission line. This one goes, and we're planning on doing this between Pantego and Trowbridge, and it's for reliability, but we'll get into that, okay? Basically, let me give you a little bit of information about Dominion. We have 4 core values. Safety, of course, is our number 1. We also have excellence, which we intend to do this job, and we intend to do it right. Okay? And we take that upon ourselves to do excellent work amongst each other as well as a team. Ethics, we want to be ethical in it. We want to make sure that we do the right thing. Okay, and also we're one Dominion, but we're also one Dominion in our teamwork amongst each other, but we're one Dominion as well amongst our communities. Okay. All right, there's typically 3 different reasons why we would look at putting a new transmission line or some additional transmission line in place. One would be economic growth. One would be aging grid assets. The reason why we're doing this project is reliability. Okay, our reliability concern. Basically, we have 44 miles of transmission line that is in a radial feed. In other words, if it goes out, it stays out until we can get there and repair it. It is actually the longest radial feed that Dominion has on our system of transmission line. The exposure increases risk to 10,800 customers, 90% of which are Tidelands EMC and Edgecombe Martin EMC customers. We have Washington County, about 95 customers, Hyde County, 3,140, Beaufort County, 6,300, Pitt County, about 430, and the town of Belhaven, about 500 customers. So you can see that there's a lot of exposure here, and I'm sure that all of you all in this room live in one of these places, okay? Stop me now if you have any questions, please. Okay, the solution. Basically, the solution, we've looked at network at Pantego substation, where we've looked at putting this new 15 kVA transmission line, and of course securing right-of-way for that between Pantego and Trowbridge substations. That in a straight line, but you can't see that very well, but the straight line, which is on the bottom, you can see that, would be about 19.5 miles. And of course, the other solution would be, and it's not shown on here, but it would be to go in a different direction. It would be 30+ miles to close this loop. Our second adds second source of power into Pantego substation from different direction. In other words, in this bottom picture here, he's shown like a circle over to the left. if something happens with this transmission line, one of the towers goes down or we have trouble, we can feed this line from two different directions. In other words, we can isolate the problem, get it to like one pole, and we can feed it from a different direction to get the power, the transmission line back on for these areas. And they won't have to sustain a long period of time without power. And of course, that would also include expanding Pantego and Trowbridge substations in order to accept this additional line. The scope of the work, it would be network transmission facilities between Pantego and Trowbridge substations by way of a 115,000 volt line. And also, of course, securing the new right-of-way. Substation expansion at Pantego, which I just said. Also substation expansion at Trowbridge, and add 2 switches at 5 points delivery point. Okay, we would be using two different kinds of structures that we could use. One is the single pole, and if you notice on here, it says that the spans would be 352 feet. The other type pole is called our H-type, and basically the spans would be 660 feet. We have actually gone out into the areas, we've talked to some folks in this room, we've talked to other folks in Washington County, as well as earlier today, we were in Pantego, we've talked to Bellhaven. We're trying to figure out and work with the people who live in this area to find out what would be the best. With the pole, the single pole, we would have to guy that. And a lot of our farmers are not interested in that because we have experience with farming equipment around those types of poles, so the interest seems to be more leaning to the H-type poles because even if it is an angle, they do not have to guy those. And of course, that helps our farmers so that they won't get their equipment wrapped around the guys that come down. And plus, we can use less structures because the span lengths will be longer. Okay, we looked at routing considerations. Basically, our most important thing, because I told you that this project is for reliability. It's not like we're adding load. We're building this line because the load is added and we have to have it. It is also not because the line, it's not your power's going to go off next week if we don't get it done. That's not the situation. The situation is mainly reliability. So there are considerations that we really take seriously in this project, and one is respect for the landowner and the use of his property, his or her property. To co-locate with other infrastructure where appropriate, to stay to the property boundaries. We have talked with folks, and we, talked with different ones to say which would you prefer in a situation if you're on a piece of farm property or this type of thing. So basically, we've looked at going down alongside the roads or the ingress and egress paths that the farmers use to get on their farms, to try to make it so it is just least amount of impact that we can. Minimize impacts to agricultural, human, environment, cultural, and historical concerns. We actually are going out to the different ones and saying, what do you have in your area? Because a lot of times there might be a hidden cemetery or a piece of property that has historic, concerns, and we're asking about that. Okay. Also, by the numbers, routing impact criteria, quantitative, the length, we're trying, the right-of-way acreage, parcels crossed, railroad crossings, the row parallel, like I just said, if we can parallel the ingress and egress roads, we're doing that. The human impact, like we might have an idea that going down the road was a good idea, and people say, oh no, there's too many houses, right there. That would have a huge impact on their neighborhoods, and they didn't want that. So we're trying to put a lot of interest in that. Residences and businesses within 100 feet to 500 feet, agricultural and forest land. We have some forest land in some of these areas that we don't want to touch. Okay, the environmental impact, wetlands, we have to be cognizant of wetlands, conservation land, threatened and endangered species, and also stream crossings. And we also have the cultural and historical impact. You know, I was just saying about some cemeteries, maybe historical sites, and those types of things. Okay? Okay, so here is the preliminary route. You'll notice there are several lines, some to the right area and some to the left. And basically, the gentlemen, the site folks in the room here have taken a look at these, and we have an airport that we're working with. We have some other, farmland opportunities. We're also looking at trying to get the least amount of distance. And we're looking at the properties as far as trying to stick to the property lines and those types of things. So you'll notice, Jerry, would you go up and kind of point it out, if you can, the line that we're talking about? It's yellow and blue, and it's kind of hard to tell. But this is the, like I said, preliminary routing.
What we did, if I may,
Go ahead, please.
we looked at 3 different routes, and in the process of going through all the vetting that she just read off the last slide, some of the routes actually overlap and bring them back to a common point. The route that we're preferring right now is the one that's to the right or the east side of the study area, which is the area that's outlined in black. And that route is approximately, it runs from Trowbridge, like she said, down to Pantego. You can see right here where the yellow, green, and blue all come together. We are trying to follow natural boundaries, as well as some of you folks correct me if I'm wrong. We've got the Albemarle, the 7, and the Interceptor drainage canal. And this last leg, which is in here and working its way down this way, this being Railroad Road, which is the Albemarle, the 7, and then the Interceptor Canal, we're trying to stick as close to those as we possibly can, because they are already, restricting farm use. And by staying as close to that existing easement, I feel like we can minimize the impact of the line itself. We've met with the, what is it called? The Drainage Commission, and they have seen this, and we've talked through it with them. They actually enlightened us about several things along the canal. Specifically, there are some levees that we need to take into consideration, and of course, we're looking at that from an engineering perspective. But we feel like the route, Dominion's preferred route would be the one to the right, which is the blue, yellow, and combination of blue, yellow, and green down on the southern end. So, any questions?
Okay. All right, this is just a closer shot of the Beaufort County specific routing areas. And we just kind of honed in on them a little bit. As you can tell, these lines are really hugging the property line. And they really tried to come up with something that would be a reasonable route to go. And once again, you can tell that this is kind of hugging the property lines. And a lot of this is farmland. And then once again, okay, right-of-way acquisition. We've been asked lots of questions about the right-of-way acquisition. And I did tell you that this project is for reliability. This is not a project that is driven by load. It is not a project that, we are trying to, bulldoze or anything like that to get this project in. It is absolutely reliability to make it. We have one feed to this area, and that's that transmission line that's 44 miles long. So basically what we're trying to do is make it to where this area can receive better reliability when something is going on. If we have a storm or we have, whatever. We have talked to Tidelands EMC. They've partnered with us in the planning of this to get this line so that we can, those customers can, be more reliable with the electric source that we have coming to them. Basically determine, first and foremost, conduct a respectful process. We're trying to determine the route, satisfies the needs of the project, and also reasonably minimizes impact. Also, route inspection. The property owners will be contacted for permission to survey and appraise the land. We have, talked to some folks who have given us some feedback on some appraisers and that type of thing. We do have a process that we're going through for that. We're trying to, I think the letters have been mailed. Is that right, Greg?
The letters for the open house have been mailed.
The letters for the open house have been mailed, yeah.
Access and appraisals have not.
Okay, but the ones for the open house have been mailed to the people that are impacted, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And also, the route inspection serves as an input in the offer package to landowners for purchasing our right-of-way easement. So in other words, the right-of-ways at this point will be purchased. And they're going to have appraisers that come and actually work, working on the properties and so forth to give a fair appraised value. Also, Dominion pays for this work. They'll offer financial compensation. Dominion seeks to compensate the property owner for its easement, present fair market offer based on appraisal, and begins the negotiation process. In step 4, the compensation issued and easement rights obtained. Once the compensation is agreed to, the property owner signs the easement agreement, and the Dominion issues payment after conducting background check on the property. Okay, we do have a schedule. Basically, the biggest thing I want to point out here is that the project completion is expected in 2018. Basically, we have an open house that some of you may have already received letters on. If not, the ones who are in the affected area will receive the letter. It's April the 26th, and it's going to be at the Pungo Community Building at 5 o'clock. We did, like I said, we visited with the mayor of Bellhaven earlier today and the mayor of Pantego. And so they are very interested in this as well because it directly benefits the reliability of their towns as well. So basically, that's what we have. And there is a website that is out there already, and I printed it out, but it has a lot of really good information, basically what I have covered. And if you have questions or you think, what did she say about so-and-so? If you will jot down this site, I looked at it to make sure that, it would directly go. And this is a great site, so it's, or you can email the powerline@dom.com if you have questions. But I strongly encourage you to come to the open house because the gentlemen here want to hear from you. They want to hear if there are, if you say, well, I don't mind you being on my property, but I'd like for you to be here, or this type of thing. This is extremely valuable information to us, and we do have some flexibility on the placement of this line in this corridor. So we would really like your feedback. And so the best time we will have folks there that have the drawings, we'll have folks there that have, that can answer any question that you might have, and that can, talk to you about more details about the process. So at this time, are there any questions?
Questions from commissioners? Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Martin?
So, last commission meeting, I was asked to put together a report on the closing of the Golden Corral restaurant in Washington. So I put together some information for you, which I'm not going to go through in detail because I think you all have it in your packages. But basically, after receiving the request, I went to the Golden Corral and found some people there basically cleaning up, as you might imagine, getting the building ready for them to leave. And there was a district manager for Golden Corral, and I asked him, why were they closing? Basically, he said that the bypass that went through, I guess, in 2010, although I wasn't here at that time, but killed the business by decreasing the traffic through that particular point on Business US 17. Then went back and got some traffic count numbers from that area, and it did seem to collaborate what he said. That it seems that the bypass probably redirected about 5,000 to 6,000 cars per day onto it rather than going through business 17. Obviously, business 17 was constructed for a reason, and that was to reduce congestion in the business area and to also increase access to eastern North Carolina. It is a little bit complicated because obviously at the same time, the Great Recession was taking hold in the area. And so when you looked at the resale sales tax revenues, in 2009 they were about $9 million, and they dropped down to as low as $6.5 million in 2011, which I'm sure you were all having to deal with that situation. But now they're back up to about 8.4 million. That is for the whole county. In talking with Golden Corral, I wasn't able to get through to their corporate offices, and I put several calls in, but they weren't returned. But it would appear that there does need to be some renovation to the building if somebody else was to take it over, particularly I think with the cooking equipment and what have you. I did some research on what's happening with Golden Corral in other locations, and I seem to get a very varying response in terms of they do have a lot of locations, but the one in Cary I know closed because I was actually living up there when it closed, and it's now going to be a BJ's Brew House. So this might imply that there's some change in taste in that area. Also, in Florida, unfortunately, a couple of the restaurants were closed for local health inspectors. So I think in this particular case, there are probably a lot of reasons why or why not it was destined to close. But I think in general, probably what our actions need to be are proactive to bring more people to Beaufort County, to get them to know the city and the county better, and be, as I say, proactive in seeking out opportunities. In that regard, I was just attended a meeting of the Washington County Economic Development Team, and they are pursuing a number of other restaurants and things, not only for that location, but for other locations throughout the town. Does anybody have any questions?
How many jobs was lost?
60.
What, full-time jobs or part-time?
I didn't get that much detail. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Are there, when you mentioned something about proactive, what are some of the things you have in mind? I know at the rest area, we don't have any literature in there.
Yes.
Anything in the county or the town, restaurants or anything?
Yeah, I investigated that. From what I can understand from, and please excuse me if I use the wrong term for the gentleman, but I'll call him the janitor, basically cleans up the area. He said a lot of people are asking for things, but the DOT wants to keep the interior of the building relatively pristine. And I must admit, it's a very nice building, looks very nice inside. The only thing that's in there is the DOT state map. So I think there is an opportunity there to put some more literature in a very nice manner, just at least to attract people into the downtown, although, and what we have to offer.
From some other towns throughout the country where they built bypasses, my understanding is, and I've seen some of it, where even before the bypass is built, they'll begin to initiate a program in order to sell or attract people into their area so that the bypass doesn't hurt the area. And there's a lot of towns that are doing that now, where there's no bypasses.
You gentlemen might know it better than me. I wasn't here at the time, I'm afraid. But you did vote $20,000 to assist with tourism in the area, and hopefully that will be. I know there's some people working proactively on that, and hopefully that might be a start of some more actions in terms of bringing people in. And obviously there is the Beaufort Washington Tourism Authority and other entities attracting people.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, your next item.
Okay. I can get it to open up. Okay. Okay, another item for discussion which came up from some economic development activity was investigating the situation at the Skills Centre. It is quite a complicated one, actually, when I got more and more into it. There are a number of users and renters and an owner. The Committee 100 owns and uses the building for their offices. Oops. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. The community college is a user. The county, in terms of my offices, is a user. Businesses use the space both for training and for conferences. We've got continuing education there, and then economic development clients have used it over the years. I won't go through all of this, but we are working on a memorandum of understanding between the county and the community college, and the Committee 100 in this case, between the Beaufort County and the Committee 100 to address who is responsible for what. In general, what we're looking at is that the structure would be the responsibility of the Committee 100, and then the internal maintenance and running of the building would be the responsibility of Beaufort County. We're also doing the same with the community college, although their space is limited more to the warehouse space, but trying to understand what they are responsible for and what we are responsible for. In terms of costs, we currently put into the Beaufort County puts into the building about $56,000 a year, and the Committee of 100 puts in about $21,000. Then the community college, because they run courses out there, also puts in expenditures in terms of instruction costs, operation of forklifts, maintenance equipment, other such things. So there is quite a collaboration in terms of the two costs. Also, there's a lot of other things that the community college does out there in terms of continuing education for welding and what have you. Their core curriculum is centered around things like diesel engine repair, hydraulics, forklift classes, industrial maintenance, welding, business and government classes are also held out there. So there's a lot of use of it, and particularly now, the courses are coming thick and fast. The idea is to create higher skilled jobs in the county, higher paying jobs in the county, supply the needed labor force for the various businesses. Ease of access, the location is very good because you're out at the industrial park, and there's a lot of parking out there. Also, there's a lack of available training space at the community college, so this is very useful for them. And also, I use it as a marketing tool for the county in terms of being able to have a meeting in a conference room and then go immediately into a training space. People are pretty impressed, particularly as they come in the front of the building and don't see the back until I reveal it through going through one of the doors. Customized training is the program that the businesses use to, the community college uses to provide businesses their training. And again, you're looking at job growth, technology, productivity, enhancements in terms of what it's used for. We also used the space for free startup, office space, conference rooms, and training space for businesses. Again, this is kind of my pitch. Come here, and you can use these facilities free until you get your building built. And this was where one business decided, well, why don't we build another building, and they'll use our building. But because of a couple of these two factors, that really isn't possible. We have the Committee 100 has a USDA loan on the building with a 30-year term at an interest rate of 4.375%. We could pay off that loan if we sold the building, so that is not too much of a hurdle. But the second one is we got an EDA grant for $356,000, and that's a 20-year term. If we sell the building before the end of that term, we have to pay them back basically 50% of the fair market value, which probably would be more than $356,000. That term expires on April 26, 2023, so it would be worth thinking about what we're going to do in another 7 years. But right now, that is, a major hurdle if we were to sell the building. Thought was that potentially, I had not thought of the building as something that we might sell, but it does bring up an interesting idea for, a spec building, that you're using it, you're using it while you're marketing it, and that way you don't have an empty building. Anybody have any questions?
Questions or comments, any commissioners?
Well, I have a comment. We need to take a look at this when we do our budget, because, the county's putting a lot of money into this building. We've got a community college that we already pay for. So, why are we paying for these two things? It's a high expense item, $57,000 a year. And basically, while it looks like there's a lot of activity going on out there, I've been out there a lot, and it's used about half the time, maybe not even 50% of the time. So it's an item that if somebody wants it, we need to let it go, but we need to take it up during our budget session as far as strategy of what to do with this expense.
Any other commissioner?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, how many of those courses are also given at the community college?
The welding, there is quite a bit of welding, but my understanding is that the community college does not have the space to do these courses, and that's why they.
So most of these courses are only given at the Skills Center?
Those courses are given at the Skills Center, my understanding is because that's where the space is to be able to do them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kenyon?
Good evening, Commissioners. Here to do my quarterly report for collections and information with the tax office. I'd like to begin by the real and personal property collection rates. If you see for 2015, it shows the beginning balance of $30,800,000. We've collected $28,800,000. As of this report, which was March 23rd, we collected 94.34%. As of today, 95%. I want to thank my staff because they have really worked hard. Just to give you gentlemen a heads up, you're probably going to get some calls because we are garnishing wages and we're garnishing bank accounts. So I'm just letting everybody know you're going to probably get some calls. Yeah. Yeah, so just want to touch base on that. But we can also continue to collect the back taxes that are outstanding. We've made progress on 14, and we've also made progress on 13 for those collection of real rates. For motor vehicles, we did have some small outstanding for 14. If you see, it's $329. So we are continuing to try to collect that money. We are trying to continue to collect all this money. With motor vehicles, we really run into tough problems. Vehicles get sold, turned over for scrap, and people don't turn the plates in, so we end up with liabilities that become very difficult to collect. Next would be my list of top 50 delinquents. The first list that was provided to y'all last month, we have taken 15 names off of it. So 15 more have rolled into their place, but we are making progress on the top delinquents in the county and continuing to pursue the money that's outstanding for that. Next, I have a list of Zacchaeus for fees and without fees. My next group went over to Zacchaeus today. I will have a follow-up group in June. We sent over 40 cases today for foreclosure. We'll probably send over about the same amount, which is the least amount we've sent over for foreclosure in many years. A lot of that is due to being able to do the legal means that we have to collect that outstanding money, and also picking or going after targets of high value, high dollar that are owed to the county. So that is something we're working on to get that done. Next is the list of property that is owned by the county. I have a list of that, and providing that to you. We had a sale today. We did sell a property today. So just wanted to provide that information to you and ask you gentlemen, did you have any questions, or was there anything I could try to answer for you?
Commissioner Booth?
I understand you're sending over 40 properties to Zacchaeus today, you said?
Yes, sir.
And I trust and I pray and I hope that none of those properties are less than $300 for senior citizens.
That I can promise you.
Good. That's what I like to hear.
That I can promise you. Now, we do have some lower value that are multiple year that we've tried every way possible, but they're over $300 because that's what you as commissioners asked me to do. So
Well,
that is what we've done.
I know a few have been slipping through the cracks because the people have been calling me, but I ask you to do all that is within your power. For a person that's 70 years old, older, less than $300 or less, let's please don't put that $700 from Zacchaeus on them.
We are doing everything possible to help those people that are in dire need, and this county does have people that are in dire need.
Thank you.
Commissioner Buzzio, did you have something?
Oh, no, thanks. No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Commissioner Richardson asked that an update on the Northeast North Carolina Joint Land Use Study be provided at this meeting. You have that information attached in your packet. You've got a progress report from Will Best, who is the JLUS project manager with the North Carolina Department of Commerce. You've got copies from the JLUS website about the members who are on the policy committee and the technical advisory committee. And then there was also a question about when this was first discussed, and you have the minutes from the March 10th, 2014, when the board first discussed this. There is an upcoming meeting, or there's an upcoming set of meetings in May. The one here will be May 18th at the Washington Civic Center, where they will do another public workshop. Then there'll be some tag meetings, which is the technical assistance group meeting, and then a policy meeting winding up on May the 20th. Again, you've got the progress report from Matrix Design Group, which is the contractor that was employed by the federal government to do this project, or by the state government to do this project through federal funds. And they list out their deliverables and what they've completed and what is still in progress. Currently, they're under the JLUS committee. The former manager, Mr. Woodruff, sat on the policy committee, and essentially I sit in his place. And then on the technical advisory committee, Mr. John Pack sits on that committee from the county to provide technical assistance. So be glad to answer any questions the board may have. I'm not sure I can answer too much than beyond what you have in front of you.
Yeah, there's a problem here. First, let me tell the public what this is about. You remember the OLF fight when the Navy wanted 30,000 acres of prime farmland in Beaufort, Washington counties. That battle went on, was won primarily because of the citizens of both counties. And eventually the Navy decided they really didn't want that. It was more trouble than it was worth to them. Subsequent to that, the federal government, through a memorandum of understanding between the Department of Defense and the Department of Agriculture, started finding ways to get control of property rights in eastern North Carolina. The first thing they tried was a system of leasing land. It was called market value lease or something like that, so they could fly airplanes over it, and the farmer put his land into this thing and told him how much money he wanted for it, and then they paid the least amount that was offered. It was a real sneaky scheme to do the same thing that the OLF did. And they claimed they only wanted a 1-mile corridor that began somewhere around Jacksonville, went to Wake County, and then came back east through Washington counties and went down into Dare County. That thing was beat down because once people found out what it was, they didn't want anything to do with it. You couldn't shine lights up at night. You couldn't build anything taller than 100 feet, all that sort of stuff. So that didn't work out that well. And this is the next land grab idea for control of property rights in eastern North Carolina that's been produced by the Department of Defense. Agriculture agents, by the way, were going to sign up the first lease agreement. That was under that joint memorandum of understanding between the Department of Defense and the Agriculture Department. This is a new game to get control of property rights in eastern North Carolina. We have told the JULUS people, the Department of Defense, some of whom we've got to know very well, and some other people, we don't mind you training in Beaufort County. We don't have complaints from people about you training in Beaufort County. We don't have complaints about your accessing the Dare County bombing range from Beaufort County. It's not there. Now, what they're seeking and what they've been seeking in the the market value lease, as it was called, something almost like that, was, again, to fly planes within 100 feet of the ground, and if you were regulated within this, you could not build anything taller than 100 feet, and you were not allowed to shine any lights upward at night whatsoever. They're trying the same thing with this thing, and I'm very concerned because when the commissioners discussed this, they wanted us, Beaufort County, to become a member of this, as part of the sitting committee. They're going to produce a land planning document is the intent of this, and this is what's happening beginning in May. And that land planning document would require everybody that was a member of this group to go back to their county and pass ordinances and laws that regulate land and flying rights within each one of these counties. I'm concerned that the manager defied the commissioners. We told, and Randall was involved in this, that we were not going to become a member of this group because becoming a member, they automatically wanted you to pass whatever regulations they wanted you to pass. That we would not become a member, we were going to monitor it. And one of the reasons this is on the agenda is I'm on the mailing list, because I got myself on the mailing list for this, the email list, is I went to the meeting in Washington County, and there sat 2 of our county officials serving on committees with voting rights. That was never approved by the Beaufort County Commissioners. They were authorized to monitor those meetings, to know what was going on, but not to participate. So we have a problem here with this. Now, this particular JULUS thing that's funded, it's $500,000. That money is paid by the Department of Defense to the Department of Commerce in North Carolina. They switched from agriculture, because that wasn't working that well, to the Department of Commerce. The counties that are members of this, I can't name all of them, Beaufort County, within the study area it's called, Beaufort County, Washington County, I believe Terrell County, maybe Martin County, and guess another one, Wayne County. Wayne County does not touch any of these counties geographically anywhere in any way. And what is causing the problem is that the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, which of course was once a nuclear strike base, has become a fighter base. And those people are afraid in Wayne County, and Wayne County has sued Beaufort County, by the way. We went to court over this, and then we wound up in a big negotiating session in Raleigh with a lot of people from the Department of Defense, and a lot of people from Diener, and the state government, and the governor's military affairs people, Marines, Air Force, and all of this. We were all up there together because I went to those meetings and represented the county. This whole thing was started by Wayne County with their lawsuit of us. A lawyer's name was Carr, I believe, that handled this for them, because they are afraid that they're going to get bracked, because there's becoming less and less of a need to have the air base at Seymour Johnson. So they're afraid of BRAC. They're afraid that's the commission that meets every 8 years, and they're afraid that they're one of the bases that could get shut down, and they're trying to justify their existence. I don't have a problem with that. That base is a very important thing to the people of Wayne County in that particular area. We don't want them to do this on our back. We don't want regulations. I don't, and I haven't seen anybody else that does in Beaufort County, that you can fly airplanes down to within 100 feet of the ground, and you can do all of these training exercises, because either the county has passed ordinances that allow you to do that, because they've tried to buy those rights and they cannot buy the rights. It has not worked for buying those rights. That's what this is all about. And I'm very disturbed as a county commissioner that we got county officials that are sitting on these committees with voting rights, because the commissioners never approved that. We never appointed anybody to sit on these committees, and we don't need to be sitting on these committees. We need to be out in the audience to see what is going on, and that's not what's happening.
Okay.
So, you know, what is our position on this? Are you going to authorize PAC and the manager to be voting members of these committees, or are you going to authorize them to go and find out what's going on and come back and tell us?
Well, I think what we should do is go back to the meeting where we had the conversation and then abide by exactly what we said.
Okay, well, that's what we said because I was the lead commissioner. So I would suggest that these two gentlemen be in the audience at the next meetings unless they can produce a document that somebody has been appointed by this board to serve on this, because farmers, individuals in Beaufort County are going to lose their property rights, most of them over this.
Commissioner Breen.
How did these people get voting rights to begin with if we just sent them there to observe?
That's the puzzle to me. I was surprised when I went to the meeting in Washington County, and there sat two county officials with the sitting on the committee, and they should have been in the audience. So I don't know who appointed them.
Maybe we need to find out.
No, that's why I said we simply go back to that particular meeting and just, it should be in the record.
Should be in the, yeah, because we've never appointed anybody. That's our strategy with this, and this is very important because the military has worked, and I'm not anti-military at all. I'm pro-Beaufort County and pro-Beaufort County property rights. But the military has worked over and over and over to get these rights. I don't understand what the problem is, since we don't care if they train here. We don't care about what's going on here. I don't get telephone calls about these things. But I have sat in the last 3 years, I've sat in on about 10 or 12 meetings with people from the Pentagon, people from here and people from there. Once the Julius Committee was formed, all of that has died down because these guys thought they had figured out another way to get control of us. And keep training. I want you to keep training.
Mr. Chairman, I'm reading these minutes. It says it's concurrence of board that this was a no action item. So I don't think did we take action at that board meeting? Because the way it reads here, we didn't vote on it. Well, not us, but whenever this happened back in 2014.
I don't remember.
Well, that's a non-participate. If we didn't appoint somebody, that's non-participation. That's what we decided, was non-participation.
But we didn't vote on it. It just says no action.
But we didn't appoint anybody.
Yes, those is right. We did not appoint anybody.
Mr. Chairman, I can't speak to what happened previously.
I understand that.
We attended, and we'll be glad to sit in the audience from now on. And in fact, the one meeting that I attended was the November 13th meeting and provided information, and all of you got that information when I came back. I presented all that to you. You got it in your packet, so we'll be glad to sit in the audience and keep our mouth shut. I don't think we did anything in that meeting anyway. So.
All right. All right, Commissioner Richardson, the next three items are yours from the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. Going back to item number 2, the budget amendment tax consultant, page 9. That's the $40,000, isn't it?
It is, yes, sir.
I just wonder why we didn't hire somebody. We authorized the hiring, and it never happened.
We actually did initiate a contract with Mr. Rada, Pete Rada, and he came back and said after he is the president-elect or the president, I'm not sure which, of the International Tax Assessors Association, and he came back and said, I've got too much work and I can't do it. I'm sorry. So we never executed that contract. He was someone who worked with that company, and at that time we discussed it, and he said that he felt like he couldn't continue on to do that, so we did not execute that contract with him.
Well, you know, we did that for a reason, and the reason was that we felt like that the tax changeover on the computer system was not going to be ready in time for us to use for the revaluation, nor effective in billing. So I guess my question to you is our tax billing system, the new system, by Farragut, is it up and running and we are ready for the revaluation and there are no deficiencies in that system?
I can't say there are no deficiencies in the system. They're working through some issues. Bobby Parker's here tonight. He can answer any of those questions, but I do know that they have billed for the last 2 years with it. They are finishing up. Are they finishing up the CAMA piece? Is that done? That is done now. That's on. So if you'd like to address that, Bobby, that'd be great.
So.
They finished up the CAMA part of it. That's the computer-assisted mass appraisal part of it. The revaluation folks are in here. They've got the new office. They in here. Bill Putney is in here. Bob Pearson has been here. They will be in here next week.
Well, that's revaluation. Let me interrupt.
All
but
right.
Okay, when What other deficiencies are there, and when do you anticipate that the camel piece will be finished up?
We have actually signed off on the camel piece. There's a couple of problems we have, like we have in everything else, that there's some deficiencies in that they are fixing right now. We got some information from Farragut today that they are fixing the little problems we have sent to them, and we are to run them in our test to see if they're working okay.
Those are minor items if you signed off on it.
That's minor items.
All right. So you're telling me there are no deficiencies in the Farragut
I'm
system?
not going to tell you there's no deficiencies. We got some problems, and we're working through them.
What are they?
Well, this year we had, let's start with the billing part of it. We had a lot of people, we had put the boat situation in, they were going to run the boat program, have all that cleaned up. This year it came back with a husband and wife. Both of them got a bill. If they were joint owners, they both got a bill. 2 boats were listed to the people. We had to go in and clean that up. We've got that mostly cleaned up. This year, we're going back and try one more time. We are listing the boats ourselves, and we've taken these problems that were caused by Farragut last year. We've straightened those out. We're listing from anything that we know that is wrong, we're straightening it out. So when we turn the bills loose this year, we think the billing will be pretty much right.
You characterize this as just bill editing.
That's about what
bill editing.
We're editing.
There are no structural problems in the system. It does everything it's supposed to do.
I think we're doing pretty much what it's supposed to do.
Can we print out a tax report for someone going back the last 7 or 8 years and print their whole history on a piece of property as what they've been assessed and what they paid and when they paid?
We can do it on 2 systems because you remember we come over on the 13 and we could go back into the Keystone system and pull up something, and we'd have to go back and into Farragut from 13 on.
All right. Now, are we running 2 systems at this time?
We are not running 2 systems.
The Keystone is on standby.
It's on standby.
Operating system is Farragut.
Operating system is Farragut.
We're relying on that without exception.
We're relying on Farragut. We are still have the Keystone system up. If something drastic should happen, we can bring it back up pretty quick.
Okay.
Especially the land part of it. Now, the personal property, that listing would have to be gone back in and updated.
In Farragut?
Into Farragut, yes, sir.
So Farragut's not complete yet. We're relying on Keystone for billing personal property.
No, sir. Not at all.
We're relying on Farragut for billing personal
Yes, sir.
property. Okay.
Since 13.
Okay.
This will be the 3rd year. The only little deficiency we have in the Farragut is we've got to go back when we do rollbacks on property. We're going across two years of 14, having to go back into 12. 12 would be our last year that we can go back and do a rollback. It would be 13, 14, and that's all in the Farragut system.
Okay.
In the mapping, you want me to take you through the rest of it?
Yeah, if whatever deficiencies you have, I want to know about.
Mapping had a little problem with bringing the mapping up, doing splits and merges. We have a new mapper in there now, and he's doing a good job. He had a couple problems last week. He couldn't get the value over to come over, and I went back and showed him what we need to do, what we need in those blocks. That seemed to work okay, and we're doing pretty good. I can't say we won't have some problems tomorrow. We do every day. So.
But the systems have been certified as adequate for the revaluation that's coming up.
I sure hope so.
They're not going to get in the way. Well, you're the only one that knows. I don't want you to hope so. I want you to either know or not know.
Let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm setting up a meeting with Farragut, and they are going to train the revaluation folks. That's the only way that we can do that, and they're going to train those folks. We're hoping to have them up there next week, and over how long they need, they are ordered to stay there and so they know the codes, what goes in each code, what the value is in each code, and how it calculates.
So they know our codes.
So they know our codes, yes, sir.
So basically you're saying there's really nothing wrong with the system?
We hope not, but much as we got in it, we think we're going to work through it. There's going to be some problems Well, next year.
I mean, you can expect that.
Yes, sir,
Anything, you will
anytime.
have some
Yes, sir.
problem. All right, next item, Commissioner Richardson.
The last item that I have is Tyler contract renewal. And I don't have it right in front of me right now, but seeming like it's $40,000 a year that we're paying for support.
34,809. Yes, sir.
That sounds kind of expensive to me for a payroll system.
It's the complete financial package. It's general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, payroll, it's all of it.
I thought we had that on Munis.
This is Munis. They're owned by Tyler Technologies.
So you're talking about the Munis
Yes,
system,
sir.
not just a payroll. So the way this is written up, it sounds like it's a payroll, just to do payroll.
It's all of our software.
It's the whole ball of wax.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, I misunderstood. That's not the way it's written up.
And if I may mention one thing, and I don't know if I'd call this a deficiency, but from a finance perspective, as far as Farragut goes, we are working with Wynn and the collections department because right now Munis and Farragut do not talk to each other. And so the finance department's having to do a lot of manual calculations to figure out what we owe the different municipalities for their distributions. And so I think it's imperative that we get those two systems speaking together,
Okay.
interfacing.
I thought we were already working on that, but I guess.
We've got a meeting on Wednesday to get the ball rolling on that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Is that it for you, Commissioner Richardson?
Yes.
All right, items for
Mr.
this.
Chairman, can you take a vote on those? They were pulled, so you need to take a vote.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor, we'll do them all together.
Yeah, it's all right with me.
All in favor of these amendments, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, 7-0. Okay, now items for decision. Ambulance franchise request. Second reading, John Fleming.
Good evening, Commissioners. This is the second reading for an ambulance franchise request for Priority Care Medical Transport. They have provided information from the first reading to y'all, and the representatives from Priority Care Medical Transport here to answer any questions you may have. Our recommendations for approval of franchise.
Okay. Pleasure of the board.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion.
I just have a question. You know, this came up before, and the commissioner still voted for it. We're not going to be hearing that there's not enough business in Beaufort County to support the franchises that we have already approved, are we?
They, you know, any transport company can make that claim that the business is not there. That's up to the transport companies to provide, to make their own business. I mean, we don't
wait a
control
minute. The
business.
reason that we franchise, one of the reasons that we franchise is so that we don't get providers in here, and those providers wind up with not enough business to stay here. And then you've got a bad situation. It's hard to get service. The whole idea is to keep the people that we have busy. And if I recall, when this came up for the first vote, it was stated that we had enough providers. But the board still voted to approve these people. So my question again to you is, do we have more providers than we need in Beaufort County?
My opinion is any new providers coming in is going to have to work hard to get business. I cannot guarantee transport business for any provider. We do not have a cap on the number of providers that we offer franchise to. There's not a cap on our number of franchises. So,
but I want to point out to you that the reason that we franchise is so that we can provide the people that are coming in here with enough business that they can afford to stay here. Otherwise, we don't need a franchise. We don't need to give franchises at all. You just open the door and everybody can come in here.
Commissioner Booth.
Mr. Fleming?
Yes, sir.
I understand you don't guarantee no business for no franchise at all.
That is correct.
And I promise you and rest assure you, if a new franchise come in here, they don't make no money, they'll do like Golden Corral. They'll pull up stake and haul buggy. So I don't have a problem with letting franchises come in. I mean, I'm just sorry. It's a business decision. If a person wants to invest their money, I mean, if they lose it, it's theirs. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, you go to Las Vegas, you lose it, it's yours. I don't lose none. So I still stand by my motion.
All right, anything, any other commissioner?
I'm assuming since we have the owners here, that you're willing to take that risk. I mean, you're really
It's your
trying
money.
to provide a service. Thank you.
Anything further? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? It's done.
What was that vote?
7-0. All right, Mr. Kenyon again.
I'd like to take just a few minutes and discuss asking permission to place tax year 2005 bills in an uncollectible status. Previously, we've been placing them in a write-off status, but with the new computer system that we do have, it will allow the bills to be placed in an uncollectible status, but they will remain there as long as there's an outstanding balance on these bills. And due to the statute of limitations, basically, these are just bills that are sitting there. I've lost all means to collect it unless somebody makes an overpayment on an account, and the bill is still sitting there. So what I would like to do is request permission to place these outstanding bills that are not tied to either foreclosure cases or payment plans or bankruptcy into that status.
What's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Got a question for you, Wynn.
Yes, sir.
When the attorneys are coming in doing title work, are they able to see this debt that far back?
No, sir, they're not, but we're advising them to check with us on previous debts beyond the 10-year limit of statute. We do advise them. Yeah, attorneys are a great group, so.
So when someone gets ready to sell, there's still that chance that you might collect it even though it's
Yes,
on
sir.
this list?
There is. A lot of what's on our list is the old motor vehicle registrations, older mobile homes that may no longer be there, but those are the type bills we have.
Mr. Chairman, just one clarification. There is sometimes folks they hear that and they think something different, but the statute of limitations on the 10-year is simply that you can't use forced collections.
Right.
Doesn't mean it's not still out there.
Yeah.
We can still collect it.
We can still collect it as long as it's there, and with this new system, it'll be there. And it does set flags off. I've had some refunds already that went back to '04 that there was an outstanding small car bill on, so I was able to apply the money to that. So this new system does give me an option that I did not have before.
Anything further? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? 7-0. Van Lewis.
Mr. Chairman and Board, I'm Van Lewis, and I thank you for the opportunity to meet with you tonight. Would like to take item 3 and 4 and address them at the same time, so I intermingle, with your permission, the two districts, basically because they represent a water project that we are here to recommend flows out on that delivers water from District 6 to District 1. That project really consisted of two loaning grants, one with District 6 and one with District 1. The project, it could be best described, it was approximately 7 miles of 12-inch water line and a booster pump station that pumps the water again from District 6 across the river to District 1. This allowed us to switch water supply for District 1 from on the north side of the river from the Washington Northside Water Treatment Plant to the Beaufort County 6 owned and operated water treatment plant. The project was built by two contractors. The first was called Contract 1, was here in Rivenbach, and the second was Contract 10, which was Hatchell Construction out of Manio. Contract 1, the final inspection has been completed. The cleanup is satisfactory, and we're ready to make final payment to the contractor upon receipt of all closeout documentation. Same is basically true for Contract 10 with Hatchell. Back in September, when I was here, Commissioner Buzzio asked me for my personal assurances that the Burgal Lane residents were satisfied, and I am here to tell you, to the best of my knowledge, they are, and I think that I can document that, and would hope that you would find that from your standpoint. If you have any questions about that, I'll further address any of those.
Have you talked to all the residents?
I've not only talked with them, but I have a signed release from them for the owners.
Good.
Also have a revised report from Sanitation Erosion Control. They will not release or grant their approval until the grass is restored. But they have they've looked at it this past Monday, and they're very happy with the provisions that have been taken place or put in place to stabilize the soil and restore the grass. The City of Washington has provided a release. The City of Chocowinity representative has provided a release, and DOT has provided a release, all in writing. So the booster pump station basically became operational back in August, and the project was declared substantially complete in September. The project's functional. It provides, it adds value to the water system, is considered an asset by the Water Department, and the project is within budget. We work very hard to keep it in budget. We have 2 resolutions, one for each district. I think the first one on the agenda was District 1, and that resolution will be found in your package, or the description of why I'm here is on page 336. And the actual resolution is on page 337 for District 1. The resolution addresses the project budget ordinance amendment, which is a final project budget ordinance, and it makes final adjustments in the budget, bringing the budget into balance with the actual expenditures. It also authorizes the execution of the final change order with the contractor, which brings the contract document into balance with the actual quantities installed. It also has a technical service amendment number 4, which brings the technical service agreement into balance with services provided by the engineer. I'll be happy to go into any of this in great detail if you would like, or I'll be happy to allow you to ask questions or find out what the desire of the board is. But we have a resolution on page 337.
Van, when you said these areas on Burgal Lane and the other parts of the water system that had been disturbed, was that planted with permanent grass?
Yes, sir. It was planted with temporary and permanent grass.
Okay, so you did put a permanent grass down, it won't die in the summertime?
It was done in accordance with the DOT specifications for grass, which.
Okay, that's all right.
Depending on what time of year it was planted.
Any other commissioners with any questions?
I have one question. Could you clarify the liquidated damages?
On contract 10, the contractor failed to complete the work in the contract time. That required additional effort by other people that created a liability for the county, and the contractor was charged $125,000 of liquidated damage because he was not able to complete the project on time, and that he actually didn't complete the work till today.
I have a question. Did we get a check for $125,000?
Yes, you did. It was embedded back into the project and shows in the budget.
So the project cost decreased by $125,000?
No, sir. That money was for liquidated damages. It was to be the source of money to help cover the damages to the contractor. Engineering services were increased because we had to be here to continue to monitor the project and try to encourage the completion of the project. project was originally supposed to be completed in February of 2015, and it was extended due to construction related problems, or I can go through all the change orders. but each
I'll
time-
shorten. Did you say that we paid the damages for the subcontractor?
No, sir.
$125,000?
The contractor paid the damages for you.
Yeah.
That is what the liquidated damages are for.
What damages did we have?
You had damages associated with technical services from my part, by being here and having to inspect his work. My work ended at the same time the contract construction period ended, which was 270 days, which stopped in February of 2015.
So then we took over monitoring of the contract, or we paid you for the, let's make it straight. The subcontract, we assessed a penalty of $125,000.
Did you say subcontract?
Who was it, subcontractor or contractor?
No, sir, contractor.
The contractor. So we assess a penalty of $125,000, and because of his failure, we have to maintain you on the contract longer. We had to pay you the $125,000?
You do not have to, but I provided those services, and I came to this board and told you I would do everything I could to bring it within budget, and I was going to stay with you and get the project completed, and I did so.
Okay, it just sounds like voodoo economics to me.
It may be that, but it is the process in the construction industry.
We're going around in a circle. Thank
Well,
you.
it was to prevent you from having any excess cost that would be beyond your budget.
So the next contract, we can write it in such a way that we collect the penalties?
You collected them this time, but you also had the damages. If you do not have the real damages, you probably are not entitled to the damage payment. You contractually can have it set up, but when it comes down to the fight at the end, the true damages are probably all that you can collect.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Thank you,
That
Mr.
makes
Chairman.
sense.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Van a question?
Yeah.
How much money have we paid you since February of last year when you were supposed to stop up to today? How much additional money?
Mr. Belcher, I really do not know. I can tell you, if you look right in the budget, you can see all of the charges.
And I was looking down there, but based on all these different line items and increases, I couldn't figure it out.
Well,
I can see where the contractor has given us liquidated damage of 125, and then owner's contribution, whatever that is, of 25 for $150,000. We've gotten, but down there, I can't figure out how much you've made since February of 2015?
I haven't made much of anything. I have expended $300,000 or $400,000 more than I billed you and attempted to collect, because I told you I would do everything I could to keep this project in budget. You had a concern about the budget for the last 2 years, and I worked with you. I've been on the job every day to make sure that the project was completed. We serve you in many, many functions. We serve you in construction administration. We serve you by having a construction observer here. He was even here today as we worked on 264. All the line items are listed there, and the values are in that ordinance. But I can't tell you precisely what it is from a certain period of time.
But the basic engineering fees are $234,000. Is that yours?
Yes, sir.
Then construction administration observation, we paid you $448,000?
Yes, sir.
And additional services by engineer, which I thought when I first looked at it would have been the liquidated damages, but it does come up to be a little bit more, $157,000.
If you turn over to page 341, you can see a subtotal of those.
$157,000.
Yes, sir. Some of those would not have been necessary if the contract had finished on time.
So basically, you're saying we're going to make a wash between the two?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Buzzio.
I have one further question. I wasn't here when this was done, so who selected the contractors?
The contractors are, the state law requires that the contractors be procured through a competitive bidding system. And so we prepare the plan. You define the goal and project scope that you want, and you have an engineer draw up the plans and sort of help you with your vision of the project you want to build. We prepare those plans, and you approve those plans, and the plans are advertised, and contractors, licensed, regulated contractors bid on the work. And by law, the work is awarded to the lowest bid contractor.
Now, let me ask you a question. Did you help write the RFP?
You don't have RFP for contractors. You have bid documents. You have specific items. You have 6 apples, 7 oranges, and it's a unit price bid. And if the contractor provides 5 apples, you pay him for 5 apples.
So are we talking about a statement of work? The bid process? Who
talking
wrote the
about
bid
it.
process back when this contract was written?
Excuse me again?
Who wrote the bid?
I prepared the bid document and the plans to carry out your project and brought them to you for your approval. That's the way the system works.
So there's no
It's not a system I came up with. It's a system that is state and federal law. It's the way the contractors are procured.
So-
Engineers are procured through a RFP, and they are procured based on qualifications, not necessarily
Okay,
price.
thank you.
Let me just ask you, Ms. Smith, come closer. Mrs. Smith.
Chairman Langley.
Are you satisfied with everything that's transpired?
Yes, this has been a very difficult project. It's been going on for quite a while. But as Mr. Lewis has spoken, the project is now complete. We have worked very diligently to bring it to completion, addressing homeowners' needs. As he said, the booster pump station is working. We have taken control of that booster pump station, and we have been pumping water from the south side to the north side since September of last year. What is before you today is just the budget ordinance, which even though it did go beyond the schedule, it has been brought in on budget. There's no additional funds required by the county than what was originally approved for this project. And there's one for District 1 as well as District 6, because that's the way that the project was originally financed. So what you were seeing, your District 1 budget amendment as well as your District 6 budget amendment brings everything into balance, and it allows us to close out the contract with the contractor and start to make final payments, but also be aware that the contract documents do have a warranty. So we are in the warranty period right now. So if there were to be any issues immediately, we would have means to go back and do that. Also, we do have an extended warranty for the section of pipe that was bored beneath the river. So the original contract documents did provide a provision to have an extended warranty for the county to protect our interests.
How long are those warranties?
The standard warranty is 1 year, and the extended warranty is 5
5
years.
years.
So we can do both.
It might be 4 years added to the 1 year makes the
For a
5.
total of 5.
Yes.
All right,
We
now-
presently owe the contractors around $240,000, which I would not release until I have your approval.
Okay, what is the pleasure of the board? This is for both, or
Do
1 and
them
6?
Do them separately. Well,
No, we're doing them together.
all right.
So moved.
We have a motion, there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed? 6-1. All right, next item is about the grant.
The next item, Mr. Lewis is here to speak about, but I did just want to give a little introduction, which he has, and I can kind of start this, but there's funding that has come about recently and very recently, approximately $13 million that's available for different water and wastewater systems. Mr. Lewis brought that to our attention. Well, throughout the state, Diener has been making publications, but this is such a new program that they've actually just held the workshops as far as what the application, what information that will be required in the applications within the past few weeks. So this is why this is being brought to you like it is tonight. Under normal circumstances, perhaps we would have had a water committee meeting and discussed different options, but the applications are due on April 29th. So Eric Jennings and myself, as well as Mr. Lewis, because he's been involved with the water system since its inception, went through different scenarios of different projects that we need, not creating projects just to apply for funds, but actually looking at efficiencies within the system. And as you're flipping through, you'll see different possible scenarios for different districts. And we were looking at those. What we did is we took that list that we compiled of different possible projects, and then we compared with the information that we've received from, what's Dinger's new name?
DEQ.
DEQ now. DEQ's requirements, because based upon different income and different levels, different districts would be available for higher grant levels than other districts. So we compared our needed projects, the possibility for higher grant funds in order to offset our cost. And basically we came to two projects that we felt would be the best match in order to submit for the first round of funding. Mr. Lewis has been doing this many years, and he feels, and he's had much better success in the first round of funding because obviously the quicker you're in there, hopefully you can get in that first round, and even if you were unsuccessful in the first round, you would stand a better chance in the second round. The two projects that Beaufort County Water Department staff would like to recommend would be, the first one would be in District 5, which is the Gaylord Pump Station. Those of you that are familiar with that area, the Gaylord Pump Station is located across from the Carolina Cotton Gin. That pump station has not been operational for many years. The history that I know regarding that pump station is that not long after the pump station was built, there was a leak beneath the floor of the pump station, and so it has basically been abandoned for years since then. Looking at the hydraulics of the overall county water system, I believe that it is a needed part of the water system. That's why it was put there to begin with. Are we currently moving water around? Yes. Are we currently filling tanks? Yes, but we're using gravity as a means to do that. And that is all well and good as long as we have no failures in the system. If you were to have a failure in the system, then we would be limited with our ability to fill tanks in the eastern part of the county. So I would recommend that we allow McDavid and Associates to prepare the grant application, and that's what this request is for, is just to prepare the grant application. If we were to be awarded grant money, that would be brought back before the board, and then at that time there would be you would be able to vote on whether to accept the grants, and then we would talk about how we would proceed from that point forward.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
Is this money that was in the North Carolina Connect bond?
The 13 million is not, but the next, you have 4 rounds. They'll be 6 months apart. And once we start into the process, we would go through all 4 rounds if necessary, each time refining the application based upon the review of the application and why it did not get funded the first time. So we think it's a good opportunity. Every bond referendum has something good in it for somebody. Water and sewer had 300 million. They'll give away 100 million in September, 100 million in April of 2017, and another 100 million in the end of 2017. And this process that you would start tonight would carry us through those 4 applications.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Brand?
what's the cost on the writing of the grant?
I partnered with the county from day one without charging you for the applications, and I would do the same here.
Thank you.
And you're under no obligation to select us as an engineer once you get the project funded. But I birthed the water system, and I'm a part of it. It's a dynamic system. The needs change every day, and you have needs. You must be moving forward to stay in front of the curve.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Are we asking for $6 million or $3 million?
You're asking for $3 million per application. There are 4 districts that can be funded, we think, up to 75% grant. And only 2 of the districts are we recommending projects for. So it'll be 2 $3 million applications.
I have a question for Christina.
Yes, sir.
The grants come in, let's say we decide to go for them, and we come in and we get them. We're going to let an RFP before any selections are made?
Yes, sir.
And who will write that RFP?
Yeah, the county will, I will.
The county will write it. And within the RFPs, I'll call a statement of work, what's going to be done, correct?
A statement of work.
Well, with
not the
people
scope, no,
bidding
sir.
on it.
No, sir. Issuing engineering services is a professional service, and for North Carolina general statutes, you issue a request for qualifications. So selection of engineering firms is based upon qualifications, not upon fee.
Okay. So we will write the RFP.
I will write the
Well,
RFP.
I'm
Or
saying,
RFQ.
I'm saying when we, I meant the county.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir, and generally with the RFQ, part of that, you would go through your different selection process, and there would be different criteria that you would use to rank firms that would respond to that RFQ.
Okay, and then do you make the selection, or I'll use we as the county make the selection, of who they're going to send it to, or is it broadcast out to all engineering firms that have these qualifications?
I would generally do both. It would be broadcast out. There's listservs and things such as that that would go out, and then also I would, personally, I would look at it and look at local firms and make sure that they were sent to make sure that certain firms were aware that they were there. That it was
And,
being advertised.
and once the RFP is out, if anybody has any questions, there'll be let's say we'll have a physical meeting where they can ask their questions in front of each other. Is that the way the process works?
Normally not. Normally an RFQ, the proposal is written pretty tight so that engineering firms respond to that with a packet of information. They're normally pretty standard in that they ask the history of the firm, the size of the firm. They go ahead and give references at that time, and most of the time the issuing municipality or local government would then do an initial review and perhaps choose the top 2 or top 3 and hold interviews.
Okay, my last questions. So now we have the engineering firm selected, and we're going to go through a bid process then, I guess, for the contractors. Would we be involved in that process also? We, the county, in the selection of the contractors?
Yes, we are involved in that, yes.
So that would come out of your office also, or the county would assume the county?
Once the engineering firm is selected, the engineering firm does designs the project, prepares the plans, provides the specifications, provides the bid documents. And bid documents are generally dependent upon which funding agency you're using for the project. So once that is complete, you would have a bid package, then you would issue the bid packages, and then different contractors would respond with their costs. Then you would have a bid tabulation meeting, and at that time you would review the bids, make sure they're responsive and no one has made errors, and then you would have the contract is awarded to the lowest bidder with the most responsible bid.
Before that bid package is put out, this board would approve the bid package.
Okay.
And staff would review.
And then
But the other thing is, we're putting the cart in front of the horse. I mean, because it's not gonna matter unless you get the grant. Which all your questions are very.
I want to make sure I'm going to vote for this based upon my follow-up questions. That's where I was going with this, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And again, and I don't know if it's listed as number 5, correct, which is the 2 projects. One in District 5, which is the Gaylord Booster Pump Station, and then District number 6, which is the well, right. A part of the project, the river crossing project that we just closed out, there was additional scope that was originally included in that project. Drilling 2 additional wells and putting in another train to complete the Southside treatment plant. And so we feel that that would score well in the scoring of the grant funds. And so we were also recommending looking at that project.
2 more simple questions. Matching funds, are there any matching funds to these things?
It'd be a 25% local share required.
Local share.
And you're eligible up to 75% grant. We'll have to see how they administer that. That doesn't mean you would necessarily totally get 75, but we expect and hope to get you 75.
And my last question, liquidated damages, would that go in the bid process? We want to have liquidated damages, so we clarify, we don't play voodoo economics?
Liquidated damages, I believe.
Penalties.
I need to.
I'll call them penalties.
Well, but that's the difference. North Carolina case law, liquidated damages must be true damages. Liquidated damages cannot be a penalty
Punitive.
to the
I know
contract.
that.
They cannot be punitive. So, but these, and I realize it's throwing a lot at you, but again, because of the timing and these funds just being approved. But these were the two large capital projects that I would recommend. If I had to rank them, I would rank the Gaylord Booster Pump Station as my first priority.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Booth.
How long has that pump station been down, Christina?
Eric Jennings has been here over 8 years, and it's been over 8 years.
So it's been down for 8 years. And how old is the system?
System was built in the 1990s.
9. So it's been, so the warranty hadn't went out.
Oh, yeah.
Station was built in the, station was built in the 1990s.
I understand. God knows
Warranty's
I
gone out,
understand.
and parts and pieces have been
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board concerning the Gaylord project?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand.
This is just for the loan.
Grant.
Grant.
All right, opposed? Okay, 7-0. Okay.
Boy, that hurt.
And then you have, number 6 is, you said that's a well?
In District 6, it would be drilling 2 new additional wells and adding an additional train at the Southside Treatment Plant.
Okay, so item 6 is something entirely different?
Yes, item 6 is something entirely different.
Okay.
I would like to point out in your package, the resolution had an error in it. I have corrected the error, and I have the copies of the resolution. It was simply, in the second whereas, it referred to a wastewater project, and it's not a wastewater, it's a drinking water project.
You don't have wastewater.
Well, I do handle wastewater, but anyway,
I
I
said we
have.
don't have it.
You don't, but I do have the resolutions corrected.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? 7-0 again. We made history.
About to bust my heart.
This time we'll take a,
We got one more, sir.
There's one more.
what one is that?
The asset management.
Asset
You just voted on that, Christine.
We just voted on it.
Just voted on it.
We voted on District 1, we voted on District 6.
He voted
Oh,
on
no, no, no,
number
no.
6, which was that.
Number 6.
You're good.
All right, we're good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you all very much. And glad we helped make history.
All right, we're back in session. Mrs. Smith?
Yes. Chairman and Commissioners, the next item, item number 7 is solid waste services. This item is, I'm actually not asking for a decision on this item, it's more of a discussion item. As you can read in the summary of information, the City of Washington has approached the county and requested that the county increase the landfill avoidance rebate amount that's currently provided to the city. This agreement was originally reached over 20 years ago on December 4th, 1995, and has not been adjusted since that time. One of the items I was hoping to get is some information from any of the commissioners or any direction, or to give staff direction to proceed with further investigating this to see how we would like to proceed. I don't know if any of you have any questions or comments after reading the narrative that's provided on page 412.
Well, I have, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, go ahead.
I have some questions just to be sure that I understand this. The City of Washington takes a certain amount of garbage out of the landfill by recycling.
Yes, sir.
They have weighed amounts of this, right?
Yes, sir.
So we know how much. We negotiated a deal with them that if they would recycle back in 1995, we would pay them X dollars per ton. Now they are wanting us to increase the amount that we pay them for the recyclables that they take out.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now, the money that pays for the collection the city pays for. They collect the garbage, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they pay for that out of city fees, but the county pays the tipping fee.
I am unable to answer that question. The county staff, we've met with city staff, and we have some general numbers regarding their solid waste program and cost and quantities, that type of thing, things that's on their state report. But I cannot tell you the exact cost that
Who
their
pays for what?
transportation costs versus their disposal.
There's something that has to do with dumpsters in town too, and dumpster fees or something that are waived or something else. So I think you've answered my question when you said you didn't want to know. I don't have a bit of problem with authorizing her to get into this more so that we can come back and get something definitive. I'll make that a motion if it's in order.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, it's my understanding that the different places that receive this stuff are charging more for it now because with the decrease in oil prices, it's not profitable to recycle anymore. The companies that make plastic bottles and stuff, it's cheaper for them to just make new plastic than it is to buy the recycled stuff because oil is selling under $40 a barrel, and they are just not buying the plastic. And so it's a conundrum almost that you were getting when oil was $80 or $90 a barrel, you were getting a fair amount of money for this plastic that you were hauling off. These people were paying you for it. Now they don't want to pay you for it because it's nobody's buying it from them.
Well, I think that's a good observation, and I've read and seen that too. And I don't have a problem with what you said. We need to get on top of this so we know what to do when and if the price of oil ever goes back up.
Yeah. Commissioner Waters.
Did I understand your comments right? If they decide not to recycle, it's going to cost the county $76 a ton?
Total, yes, sir.
Okay. So
Now, Commissioner Waters, there are some things that they're by law required to recycle. You
Okay.
can't put certain things in the waste stream. There's certain things you have to pull out by state law.
Okay, anything further? All in favor of that motion, raise your right hand. Opposed? 7-0.
The next item, and my last item, is bringing back to you again the Water Department collection policy that we had discussed previously. I put together a little bit lengthier policy that goes through the 1 to 30 days overdue, 31 to 60, 61 to 90, not just an extended policy. I did speak with a couple of commissioners, and a couple of minor changes that I would like to add is on page 415, in lieu of a designated Beaufort County Water Department employee, I'd like to change that to be more specific to state the fiscal utilities manager, just to put a position title there. And also item number 6, which would be regarding the chief financial officer, just saying that based upon the review, the list of uncollectibles would be presented to the commissioners to consider, not to approve. Looking at this, this is putting some items, actually giving us policies so that our customer service agents have something that they are able to go back and to relate to and share that with our customers so that everyone is treated equitable and fairly. We are looking at some additional customer service friendly options. As I said before, the possibility of doing some robocalls and that type of thing. We are working with our vendors to do that, but again, it's 2 software systems that must talk, so we have to work out those adjustments, but we are hoping to implement that in the next few months. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, when you said that you were going to designate someone as, I forgot what you called them, but You're not going to add on another employee?
No, sir, that's an existing person within our office, and
Okay.
that's actually Sharon
And
Rose.
that will be his or her permanent job?
That is, no, it's not her permanent and only job. This is just, she will be designated to run that report each and every month so that we
Okay,
can then
that's
use
just
that as
her
collections.
responsibility.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir. And again, this is just, for your comments and your revision. This is just something that was prepared, looking at surrounding water systems and people's policies.
So you will bring back your final draft?
Well, this is the final draft,
This is
other
the
than
final.
those two changes, yes, sir.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, I've been pushing for this, but I move that we accept her recommendations and that we enact this, well, as a, we do this as a policy. It needs some kind of force behind it, as our policy, and direct her to follow it.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? 7-0. Thank you, Mrs. Smith. Seth?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. My first item for y'all this evening is a potential funding source for the Wrights Creek Phase 2 property improvements. As y'all recall, this is Phase 1 property is currently being developed by NC Wildlife right now into a boating access area. And this second phase, an additional piece of property we closed on the end of the year, or beginning of this year, is slated to be a recreation open space type area. So what we're exploring here is a Parks and Recreation Trust Fund grant. These are dollar for dollar matching grants, a 50-50 grant for local governments for acquisition or development of park and recreation projects that serve the general public. You can apply for up to a total project of up to $500,000. So at the October 5th meeting of 2015, the board directed staff to obtain estimates for the Phase 2 property improvements and move forward with developing an application for this coming up funding cycle. As part of that application, staff and MIDI staff established a steering committee as is a recommended step in the process. We have Commissioners Booth and Waters on that board, along with Ranger from Goose Creek, local seller agent from that part of the county, myself and MIDI staff. If y'all look at the basic facts insurance pages, you'll see the cost estimates I've come up with, as well as the proposed project map. And I also included some handouts of some photographs that closely resemble the proposed improvements there. The total improvements come up to just under $180,000, along with the required contingencies. It comes up to just over $200,000. So if we're to move forward with all these proposed improvements, the county's obligation would be $100,605.25. And with these improvements, the county has an opportunity to provide recreation access for a spot in the far reaches of the county. We see very little improvements in facilities for the residents out there. Be glad to take any questions at this time.
Questions from commissioners?
I have a question. Has anybody done a study to see the number of visitors that Phase 2 would get in a year's time?
No, sir.
They have not. So we don't know if we build it whether they will come or not, right?
We don't know for sure. I would anticipate that there's hardly anything out in this area. The closest thing would be to drive to Belhaven or Bath or Washington.
Now, I've looked at the plans. Excuse me, go ahead.
I would, just the one thing to add is this has been in the works for 4 years now. I think the very beginning was in middle or late 2012. This overall two-phase project.
I've looked at the plans, and I presume that the planning considers soil types.
Planning, as far as the type of septic system for a restroom, it does.
Well, generally soil types, just soil types over the whole project.
Sure, it's, the majority of the project are made out of dredge spoils from two different events over the last 50, 60 years, primarily sand and shell, hard packed at this
There's
point.
already, I think there's 4 septic tanks. Over on phase
There's several on the Phase 1 property, and there's one permitted for this Phase 2 property.
You already got the permit.
That's correct.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, Seth, can you let the board know how much of this would have to be done to satisfy, there's a requirement under the Phase 1 in the acquisition that there be some recreation created in this over the next 5 years, is that right?
That's right. You certainly don't
how
have to
much?
fulfill everything here. It would require that we install up to 3 recreational opportunities. You know, the paved walkway could be considered one, the fishing pier or the boardwalk could be one. One of the shelters could be a third. And one of the steering committee's ideas with the large shelter, in this case we modeled one of the large shelters at Goose Creek State Park is 35 by 35. That could facilitate schools coming out and for field trips. Churches can have outdoor services and a good time of the year. And those kind of opportunities for folks.
Commissioner Brown.
Seth, on the parking area, is there an area on Phase 1 or?
The Phase 1, there will be considerable parking, but that will be
Okay, that will be for boat and, vehicle and trailer, right? It'd be large enough for that?
yeah, well, that property, yes, it's going to have, that's all designed and being implemented by NC Wildlife, so it's got however many truck and trailer spaces as well as single vehicle spaces.
But this parking area over here on Phase 2 is just vehicle parking?
That's right, and if we were, yeah, it's just for vehicles. That's
Okay.
right. Part of the requirement for Part F is that your improvements are ADA accessible, if not in the first phase, in future phases. So that's why we show, although what we've estimated is just a gravel parking area, but to have a paved area for at least 2 vehicles with ADA compliant space in the middle for a wheelchair, and then a paved walkway up toward the high ground, up to the terminus of the, where the boardwalk or pier could begin.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Waters?
when you look at Phase 1, Phase 2, and then what's being proposed on the park, the investment by wildlife and, what is the last group on the grant on the park?
Sir?
What is the granting agency?
Oh, that'd be, it's NC Parks. It's
NC Park.
Parks and Recreational Trust Fund.
Their investment would be somewhere around $700,000, and the county's investment would be $370,000. A 65-35 split for all 3 phases.
Well, the first 2 were through, the acquisitions were through Part F grants that were, I don't have the exact numbers. The first one was 50, but the first one was
The first one was
300.
400. The first one was 450, and
Yeah, that was the total cost. The breakdown was 300 and some thousand.
it was 380, and the county's share was 70,000.
Okay. And then Phase 2 acquisition.
Phase 2, it was 50-50.
At $200,000 each.
And it was 200.
And I confirmed with the engineer from Wildlife when they're anticipating their opening of this project. They hope to have it open in July of this year.
Phase 1,
Yes, sir, the wildlife boat ramp, boating access. facility.
July?
And they're working on the slabs right now for the ramps.
One other thing, Mr. Chairman. What kind of maintenance is the wildlife people gonna take responsibility for?
Only for the facilities that they own. That would be the hard structures on the Phase 1 site.
And what would be Beaufort County's part of
Mowing and trash collection.
mowing and trash collection?
Keeping up the bathroom.
If we do a bathroom on phase 2, then we'd have to, we'd want to put in the lowest maintenance site facility that there is, similar to what they have at Goose Creek. But that is something we have to consider is.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? 6-1. Next item.
Next items are petitions, a group of petitions to name private roads within the, it's currently named the Southern Point Campground. This is formerly the campground at Blunts Creek owned by the Brady family, Dan Brady's, who's been the administrator of that for years and years. They're interested in naming 9 of the private roads within that campground. This is sort of under a reorganizational effort, it's my understanding. I've compiled those names in the staff report for you. We've reviewed all the proposed names in our database, and all of those first selections are cleared to be approved. They're not redundant or even sound-alikes, which is what we're trying to avoid now. Is for 911 interests, we want things that don't sound like anything else, at least in that township or that side of the river if possible, but we're good on all of these.
Mr. Chairman, I doubt it would ever happen, and you'd probably be fine with it, but I believe there is a corporation that is copyrighted that Mossy Oak name. Is that not a brand of clothing?
What's that? That's their number 3, the Southern Tide Drive.
No, number 9, the Mossy Oak. Is that,
yeah,
is that a copyrighted name?
I don't know if that would apply to a
you'll
road
probably
name.
never hear from them, because they'll probably never be in Beaufort County and look at it, but,
I think that would.
yeah.
Camouflage, mossy oak is camouflage.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that has
know.
anything
I
to
mean,
do with.
You can do it, and you'll probably never hear from it, but I just thought I would bring it up just in case you want to look at the second.
I think that would apply to retail products versus naming versus.
I don't know. They own it. I don't know whether they'd say anything to you or not.
We can.
I'd leave it in there.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay with me if you leave it in there. I'm just.
Trying to sell clothes.
I don't care. One way or
All right,
the other.
what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, 7-0.
Okay, our last, my last item for y'all this evening. We received a request from the town of Belhaven, and their manager was kind enough to drive down and be with us tonight, Mr. Woody Jarvis. The town building inspector for the town of Belhaven resigned effective the end of last month, and it's currently unknown if the Belhaven Town Council is going to fill the position. They just have not had time to consider or take action on that issue. In the interim, Beaufort County Planning and Inspection staff will absorb their permitting needs. That would include fee collection and then conducting the inspections within the town corporate limits. Now, for a little background, our county inspectors are already handling inspections within the corporate limits that require level 2 and above, that being the level exceeding what their town building inspector was able to do at the time. According to the Belhaven's records, last year their staff conducted 42 inspections, and our guys conducted an additional 10. And speaking with our inspectors, they feel like this is something that we can pretty easily absorb, at least in the short term. Be average out 2 or 3 a month over the course of the year. We also currently facilitate all the inspections within corporate limits of Aurora, Bath, Chocowinity, and Antigo. City of Washington and Washington Park are the only two municipalities that the county is not responsible for inspecting. If you have any questions for
Commissioner Brand,
Mr. Manager or myself?
Does town of Belhaven intend to replace this inspection?
I'd refer that question to their staff. It's my understanding that they do.
We're in the process of evaluating whether we need an inspector or not. With 42 permits written last year, it's awfully hard to justify a building inspector to do that alone. It would have to be a part-time position with the amount of certifications that are required to do an adequate job for our tax-paying public. It's awfully hard to tie somebody down for a job that would probably be a day or two a week instead of a full-time job.
So you're talking about
So
maybe 24 hours a week?
We had utilized our past building inspector by having him do a plethora of activities. He did dock master duty, he did inspection duty, he did zoning duty, he did floodplain management duty, and about anything else that came along. But it was nice for folks to have someone to go to at town hall under different circumstances as time avails opportunities. We may be able to formulate a better combination of duties to justify a full-time person, but for the meantime, we're asking for the help from the county.
I guess my next question is, who's gonna do those duties that you, other than inspections, who's gonna do those duties now?
We are getting a plan and have implemented plans for several people to take these various duties and cover all the bases. It won't just be one person, it will be farmed out to several individuals.
So you may not have an inspector in Belhaven.
I'm not gonna promise you we never will. We want to try it without one and see if we're successful at it.
Seth, how much time would it take for our inspectors to go down and view property in Belhaven? How much would that create a problem with our?
Right now, it's the way the development climate is. No, it's not much of a problem.
Okay.
We're already in the
Booth.
surrounding area as it is.
Okay.
Seth, you stated in your opening that it was for a temporary period of three or 4 months, and that our inspectors could absorb it. Now it looks like it might be a permanent thing, because our inspectors, we wouldn't have to hire another inspector to absorb this.
Not at this point, no. But I would like to be able to, reserve the right that we should look at it again, and especially if development picks up and we.
We would love it if we had enough development in Belhaven to need a building inspector. We'd be
Building
glad to
budget.
address it.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not finishing.
That's all right.
Okay.
That's all right. I can ask for permission to speak while you're talking.
Okay.
That's legal.
I know it. I know it's
That
enough
works.
political season. I
That
know
works.
it. But what we're saying is, we want to make sure if we send somebody down there that we can do the job. That's all I'm saying. It's not that we get some, if they get some growth, and I hope they get some growth, but we don't want to hear later that we can't get anybody down there when you're telling us today that with the staff we have, we're sufficient.
Yes, sir.
That's all that matters.
Commissioner Richardson.
This is nothing new about this. The town of Belhaven has been, I don't know how long the last time this happened before the inspector that just resigned was in there. They were without an inspector for 2 or 3 years. And during a lot more construction going on than what's going on now, and the county handled it. And the good thing about it is we get those fees.
That's right, that's right.
You get those fees, so you're going to save a little bit of money, actually.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if we're doing it for everybody else,
Yeah.
I can't see why we wouldn't do it for them.
Okay, so that's your motion?
Yes, sir.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? Okay, 7-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Parker.
Chairman and members of the board, it's our favorite time of the year, but I want to bring something up before we get into the dates, and this is also about the Board of Equalization. As you know, last year I said we'd have our new system up and running. We could use our Board of Equalization through the system. Last week, we got notice that Ms. Ambrose called and asking for some help and some pointers on doing this. And they are rewriting the Board of Equalization and appeal process. So this is not just Beaufort County being affected, it's all the counties that have Farragut. The system does not work, and I think there's a meeting on the 8th, and I will not be at that one, but I'll be at the steering committee on the 14th, so I will learn more about this. And that's what I have to say about that. That's not just Beaufort County being affected, it's all the counties that have.
Okay. Did you say it was because we have the Farragut system? Is that it?
No, I said it's Farragut-wide. All the counties that have Farragut, it's got a problem with the Board of Equalization appeal process in the Farragut system.
Why is that?
I guess some of the early counties that started there, maybe having their Board of Equalization found some problems, and as far as I know, that's...
Yeah, but Board of Equalization and Review is a petition process that you fill out a letter and ask to come before a board. How is that in the...
They are supposed, that's true, that's part of it, and will take us through and give us all the comps and have everything, so when you pick up your appeal sheet, you will see everything. You will see the whole 9 yards. That's not working.
Can you print off tax cards?
We're going to print you some tax cards from the Farragut system, also from the Keystone system. You will have plenty of information, just like you have had.
But that's the way we've always done it.
Right.
So I don't...
We were thinking we were going to have a new system this year, a new working system in the Farragut system. So.
But you're just going to take whatever the Board of Equalization Review decides and key it in to the system. We're going to do that anyway.
We're going to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm. So I'm at a little bit of a loss as to how the Farragut system fits into this.
It was supposed to be able to go in and put a number in it, would give you the comps around the properties that you were going to see, where we've been doing that manually.
Oh, the research part of the Farragut system is not working.
Right.
To give comps within the area of
I thought this year it would be working. We'd give a good test run on for coming up for 18 or 17. So we're going to need next year probably. So.
But what are we doing about this?
They're having a meeting on the 18th, the Farragut staff and the counties, and then they're going to discuss it on the 14th at the steering committee.
So they're going to fix everybody at the same time?
Right. Yeah, when it's finished, everybody will be fixed at the same time.
Okay.
So I just want to let you know that we had talked about this before, but it was not going to show up this year, so you'll be back to the same way we've been doing it. And I would like to ask you, I got the 11th and the 15th, and there's so much coming up on that week, if you wouldn't look at those 2 dates, but the rest of them you can have.
How many days you have?
3 days. We got about 47 appeals. That's letters and everything, so 3 days should cover it very well.
I know last time we did this, Bobby, we had certain times for the people to be here. Is there any way that we can kind of get them grouped in?
We've tried that, bringing them 5 minutes, getting them in here early, and it works out to seem like the same thing. The ones we try to get in here first don't show up. The ones we try to get in here last show up early, and so it's almost impossible to get them, so that it would sure be nice if we could just keep them going all the time. But
well, I don't think we should do this stretch out scheduling thing. You know, if anybody's waiting, it should be the people that want to get in to address us. I think that serves all of us well. Please don't stretch this out over the 3-hour period every 15 minutes. Bring a lot of people in during the first hour. Then if people don't show up toward the end of the meeting, we know about that, we can handle that.
And we're going to have a telephone and email to any of them for all the people that are coming in for appeals, so that we can see it's going to get stretched out, we can bring them on and get them on in here.
50% should be in scheduled for the first hour. 50% should be scheduled for the first hour. Then,
I agree with you what you're saying, but I think 50% should be scheduled for the second hour, because we start at 5.
and then,
you won't be able to get the-
that's right,
Yeah.
and then you've got the third hour to take care of the overflow. Yeah,
We can do it any way that you suggest. I don't mind bringing them all in at once.
Everybody is packed into the first 2 hours.
yeah.
Everybody.
Then if they don't show up, yeah,
Gotcha.
that's what we want to do.
But
I'd suggest we do 1 day a week for 3 weeks, because if you have to go back and get information, or somebody, you're always reconsidering, it gives you an opportunity to reconsider, and I'm pretty much
I was
free in
just
here.
gonna do the opposite. I wanted to pack it all in.
You wanna get it over with?
Get it over with.
I don't know, we can do it either way.
I'm the 25th, the 26th, and the 28th would work for me.
Good days.
I can't do the 28th.
I can't do any of those.
The 26th is the night Dominion Power is having their public hearing or whatever.
Okay, I would suggest any way you want to do it. If you want to do it 2 meetings a week, one the next week, that would give us
That's
time.
April the 26th.
The 26th, that's the Tuesday.
That's Dominion Power's
Okay.
presentation.
18th, 19th, 25th.
I don't have a problem with that.
18, 19.
18, 19, and 25.
18, 19, what's that, a Monday, Tuesday?
That's a Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah,
That good? That's good with me.
Monday, Tuesday, Monday.
Monday,
That's good for
Tuesday,
me.
and
that's
Monday.
fine.
What'd he say?
18,
Monday,
18th, 19th, 24th. I mean,
25th.
25th, 18, 19.
18.
What's the
19.
minimum number of commissioners you have to have to be able to?
4.
I'll be here for 2 in this one.
All right, so we say
You can make those.
18, 19, 25th.
Okay.
That gives us time to do some work in between.
18, 19.
18, 19, and 25th, going once, twice. three
So-
times. So,
So,
Time to start, Bo.
5 o'clock. One other thing, do you want refreshments?
As
Yes.
always.
As always.
Okay.
what do you think?
I don't want to come to that.
Yeah, right. Sometimes you need
What
it.
time is 5 o'clock?
Yeah, it starts at 5.
Starts at 5 and goes to 9.
First day, we have to be early.
A little earlier, so you
Get sworn in.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
4:30.
4 to 5, something like that.
Yeah,
Some
we do
of them-
4:45.
yeah. We'll be here. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Parker. Mr. Pack. Synopsis.
Synopsis is, FEMA Region 4 had some money remaining in the mitigation program 1969. They offered 7 structures to Beaufort County. We submitted the budget. North Carolina Emergency Management has already forwarded it to Region 4. Region 4 FEMA is awaiting the commission's decision to whether they will accept the $1,102,000 basically to go forward with the elevation of 7 structures within the Belhaven, Chocowinity, and Washington zip codes. Very rare this happens, but it happened. It's a good opportunity for us. I won't say any longer after today's budget meeting that it's 100% federally funded, because we will have to fund $400 up front for some advertising. When the grant arrives, we can put that back in and try to find a way to collect it back. And because we have to do some public advertising for our friends in the, I'm trying to think of the word. At any rate, it's for the environmental groups. They want to know what we're going to do on each of those structures. So we have to put it in the paper. Here's what we're going to do on those 7 structures, which is we're going to elevate them off the ground, get the first floors out of the way. And that's the bottom synopsis amount. Rescopement's don't happen, like I say. This first one we've had since I've been here. It's all new money, basically, but it goes on top of what we've already spent for Hurricane Irene.
How high do they go in the?
Depends on the base flood elevation at each area, sir.
Okay.
Just absolutely similar to all the other programs we've already done.
Okay.
And you have a proposed resolution in your package.
What is the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed? You're done. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Richardson.
Okay, this is the Belhaven Hospital Support Resolution. I'll give you a paraphrase before I read the resolution. It's a short resolution. There may be an opportunity, we're not sure yet, there may be an opportunity to trade the property that was given to the county at the end of the bridge called the Ross property. There's another name for it that I can never remember. But to trade that with the hospital board, the LLC as it's called, Pantego Creek LLC, for the hospital property so that the town winds up owning the hospital property. At that point, we get our $6 million loan to reopen the hospital. And also at that point, we can do the deal with the veterans, the company that is taking care of veterans. Let me be sure that I say this the correct way. They are a contractor with the Veterans Administration for the care of veterans who are in dire circumstances and have dire and severe needs. That's what this company does. And they're willing to take as many of the rooms in the hospital as we are willing to give them. I say we because I'm on the board if we can ever get the hospital open. The plan right now is that we will put in an emergency room with the $6 million. We'll operate 10 rooms for acute care, and the rest of the hospital will be available for other uses. So, yeah, and we're asking to investigate this. We're not asking for the property at this time, but we're asking for the county to authorize the Economic Development Director to investigate the possibility to see if there's any way that something like this could work and to become involved in this. So here's the resolution. Whereas the town of Belhaven has been without medical emergency room and acute care facility since July the 1st, 2014, and whereas this condition is creating several hardships on citizens of Beaufort County, such as the long distances of travel to seek emergency and acute care services, increased cost to the Beaufort County government to provide emergency services, the loss of jobs and local revenue, and other inconveniences and increased cost. Whereas the reopening of the hospital will be a major economic development achievement for Beaufort County, providing a minimum of 50 jobs and increased economic activity to support those jobs. Actually, it'll be more like 100 jobs if the veterans come into there. Whereas the town of Belhaven has set up a nonprofit hospital board that has secured a $6 million loan and has an opportunity to fill 30 rooms at the hospital with a company that provides services to disabled veterans and can provide other services to the public, thus providing a secondary source of revenue to ensure the economic success of the new hospital. And whereas there is no risk to the town of Belhaven government from the new hospital venture, the $6 million loan is being secured solely by the hospital and the land that it is sitting on. Now, therefore, the Beaufort County Board of Commissioners endorse and support the reopening of the hospital. Well, I thought I had the economic developer thing in here, but I don't. But that's really what we're asking for, is for the county to support the reopening of the hospital and to authorize the economic developer to work with the various entities. That got left out. The various entities to see whether this is feasible or not.
Okay, that's your motion, correct?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I've got a question for Brian. I'm assuming you sat through the discussions with the Ross family.
I did.
And I'm making the assumption that that's not something that the county can turn around and trade for another piece of property.
There really wasn't a lot of discussion about what would be used for the property. We did talk about the boat ramp and wildlife doing some work there. But I do remember us asking the question, were there any restrictions on it? And they said no, but they would appreciate the opportunity for any naming rights if there would be naming rights to it. But there weren't any lines in the sand, as I recall.
So Hood, are you proposing that the county would end up owning the hospital property?
No, I'm proposing that the county, for economic development purposes, there's 100 jobs involved here, that the county would would investigate the possibility of swapping the Ross property with the LLC, and the town of Belhaven would wind up with the title to the hospital property. They would then give that title to the nonprofit board. We would use that to secure the $6 million loan. That's what I'm proposing. That should be a part of this resolution. But I don't know how I left it out, but that's what I'm proposing. This is a way that the LLC, who are the obstacles to this, those 4 people who are running that LLC are denying us the hospital. This is a way that the LLC can wind up with a piece of property, can wind up with something, can get out from under the cloud that they are under, and the town can have a hospital and 100 jobs. You know, we just lost 60 jobs out here at Golden Corral. These are 100 super high-quality jobs that we're talking about. These are not hamburger flippers and those sorts of things. These are first-class economic development jobs that are of great value to the county. And I don't know where else the county is going to find 100 jobs. This is the best opportunity that we have for economic development in this county right here.
All right, is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, can I ask the question? I don't think I'm confused. I think I know what, I'm really, what I guess I'm asking is Brian and the attorney, if we can do that, can we give that land to, I mean, I want to be sure before I vote on something that it's legal to do. And I'm not sure exactly how it gets from one place to another, but I'd like to know that.
The way I heard Commissioner Richardson's motion was it would be to investigate it, so we could.
Feasibility is what he was talking about, as I understand it.
Okay.
So it's not.
Just investigate and
investigation.
whether we could actually do it would be a part of the investigation. Okay, I got that. I'm okay with that then.
So is that a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't have any problems investigating that, but I think the resolution needs to be tabled until we do the investigation on the potential property swap that you're talking about.
Well, if you limit it to what I read as the resolution, that's kind of the resolution that you need to investigate it. It's not the resolution that we would actually do it.
It's not the resolution that's in the book.
Yeah, it's the one that's in the book here, but the resolution that's in the book stops short of saying to make the trade, and it doesn't say what I really intended, and I wrote this thing, I don't know how I did this, but it actually says that what we would do is investigate the possibility of making the trade. The county would become active in that, and to see whether it would work from a feasibility standpoint. And that's all we're asking to do.
Commissioner Booth.
The question.
The only thing is I still have problems. I have not been able to find out anything about the Veterans Program. There is no cash flow floating around.
Mr. Chairman.
To me, the business plan's got to be revised before I'm willing to support this resolution. And I've not seen that. To me, that's part of my job when I'm looking at economic development. I'm looking for something long-term. I'm not looking for a short-term fix. I'm looking for something that has got potential long-term.
I would say to Commissioner Waters, that's part of the feasibility, is looking at that. But if you're wanting information on the veterans, we have the representative sitting in the room that represents the veterans and has made that presentation to the board as to why the veterans need that and why they would be willing to come to Belhaven. He's right here, so if the chairman's willing, you can ask him all the questions you want, or he'll be here after the meeting, and he'll answer all the questions you want after the meeting.
Do it after. Commissioner Booth?
The question that I have, I understand that this is just an investigative thing, but have anybody consulted the the four people that you say that we're gonna swap the land with, or is this part of the investigation? Are
They have been approached.
Are they willing to trade?
Well, now, there's no, here you guys go again, you're wanting all these guarantees. They have been approached. I don't know what they will do.
Okay, that answers my question.
Well, can I answer Ed's question? There's a lot of misconceptions that are floating around about the four people that are controlling the destination of the hospital in Belhaven. These are members, the managing members of the LLC, which has over 100 members. And they will run anything that makes sense by the membership for a vote. But I can tell you, that's going to include some financial information. It's not just, hearsay and here's a good program. I've asked two small hospitals that are struggling if anybody with the Veterans Administration has approached them with a similar deal. And the answer is no. And this is the one in Scotland Neck and the one in Plymouth.
Well, so far as financial information goes, the attorney for the hospital board has made the proffer to the managers of the LLC that we will present, all they have to do is say when, that we will present our financial experts who have done these studies, and there are 3 or 4 of these people. At any time they want the information that they claim that they're not getting, we will meet with them. And I would say that I could probably swing it so any commissioner that wants to sit in on that meeting at the same time can sit in on that meeting to get all of the information that they want.
Commissioner Brand.
Before I can support this resolution, Commissioner Richardson, I'd like to see that feasibility study made to find out whether the county can do that legally. And also, I'd like to see the other information put in the resolution about economic development and how that will affect Beaufort County. So if you can do that, I'd like to see that, but it's important to me that we find out whether we can swap that property legally or not. So I'd like to see, wait till that feasibility study is done, bring this resolution back to us then, and with the economic development part of what you were saying, and then I think we can vote for it.
Okay, the feasibility study, then that's all we're wanting is to do the feasibility study, and we'll provide you with whatever information that you need.
You saying table it for a month?
I think so.
No, you can't. How are you going to do a feasibility study if you table it?
Well, we're not tabling the feasibility study.
Oh,
We're just
okay.
gonna
Table the resolution. I don't have a problem with that. That's not a problem at all.
Okay.
So the motion would be, we're just going to do a feasibility study.
Yeah.
I don't even know that we have to have a motion. I mean, we're just instructing staff to explore that.
I think we're better off with a motion because I've seen this board reverse itself several times. And I would rather have a motion that we instruct the staff to look into it from a feasibility standpoint. And I'll withdraw this resolution and sit on it, but I would make that as a motion that we instruct staff. That would include the manager and the economic developer.
All right.
The attorney.
And the attorney,
Yeah,
yes. Whoever they need.
Attorneys.
Whoever they need.
Well, go ahead and do the motion, then if that's-
Okay, we have Commissioner Richardson's motion. Is there a second now
What's the motion? Mr. Chairman?
I'll second.
for the feasibility study by the staff?
By the staff.
I'll second that.
Okay, now you got a question.
Now, my question is, when we say y'all do a feasibility study, I would also want to know about those 4 stockholders,
The LLC.
LLC. That's the reason. When you say feasibility study, if it's 100 jobs, I'd stand on both hands and say vote for it.
Absolutely.
But I want to know more about those. If we get the 2 things I want to know, are we in our parameters for swapping the property? And the other one is if the 4 stockholders are willing to swap properties. That's all I need to know.
That's right.
And the jobs is good enough for me, but I just want to know if those 4 folks ready to swap property, and can we do it?
Yeah, that's right on target.
And something I'd like to know on the feasibility study, Mr. Chairman, something I'd be interested in is JACO certification, because without JACO certification, there's no government reimbursement.
Y'all gonna have a week's work.
Anything further?
Can I clarify that? Because originally when this started, I thought we were going to just check and see if it was legal for us to swap the property. Now, you're also telling us that you want us to have conversations with the 4 managing owners.
Well, I can withdraw that if it's
No,
legal.
I think you should.
I think they have an attorney, and I think you just let our attorney, David, talk with the LLC's attorney, because he's the one that's going to call a meeting of the membership. And it's not 4 people making a decision. That is absolutely
It's the LLC.
false.
Well, Frankie, there is some law that says that that is the case. Our lawyers have looked into this, and it can go either way with that. The way this thing was set up, the membership may have been stripped, and that's maybe a legal question to be decided.
I've seen an email, and
Well,
the attorney,
okay, I've seen email
the
too.
attorney for the town of Belhaven has gotten a copy of that.
Mr. Chairman, we would just look for a very strict scope. We need to know exactly what you're asking us to do, please.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Wait, whoa.
I'm sorry, I'm not clear on what the motion is, exactly what it is that you want us to do.
Well, who made the motion?
Well, let me see if I can define it, and y'all keep me straight as I go along here. One item is to determine whether that the county has the ability to deed the property to the LLC should they be agreeable. Will that work? I think we've got a fee title, and I don't think we have restrictions, but at any rate, let the attorney take care of that. The second thing, Ed, let's see, you wanted what?
Well, he said he just make a call to the attorneys.
Well, talk to the LLC, the attorneys to attorney on the LLC to determine whether or not there's a willingness to get into discussions about this.
Okay.
All right, now, what was the third thing? Oh, those licenses and things like that, Mr. Buzzio, the company is a management company and.
Excuse me, Mr. Richardson, sorry. I wasn't talking about licenses. I was talking about JACO accreditation.
What's a JACO accreditation?
In order to get reimbursement from the government, you have to be certified by JACO.
Oh, yeah, but that's the joint committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're aware of that, and we have a nationally known management company that is certified by JACO.
That doesn't mean anything. The institution has to be certified.
That's correct. The building has to be certified.
And all the technology, staff, and everything else.
We've got the $6 million to make that happen, and we have a management company to make that happen. We have a management company with the veterans to make that happen. So those kinds of things are not problems in this scheme of things.
Okay, let's just limit this.
Got the 2 so far.
Are we going?
Well, unless you prove feasibility through JACO, I wouldn't support the motion.
Well, you're not going to get JACO approval, Mr. Buzzio, until you open up the hospital. You're just doing a delaying tactic.
You have your 2 things?
I have the 2 so far that I've heard.
Okay.
I'd like to add a third one. I think out of courtesy to the Ross family that gifted the property, I think we should give them a courtesy call before we get involved with the legal aspect of it.
And so the motion is to do those 3 things?
Those 3 things.
Mm-hmm. Now, is everybody prepared to vote now?
Yes.
Gary, you still second?
I second it.
Yeah, okay.
All right. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Politically,
All opposed, it's 7-0.
right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I would like to ask Rodney if he could stay till after the meeting in case anybody wants to speak with him about this.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to issue an invitation to the commissioners in small groups to go to Belhaven and let me show you through the old hospital and show you through the new clinic, as well as show you the River Forest Manor that's been renovated. Can't do it, 3's the limit, as you well know. Otherwise, it's considered a public meeting.
Right.
No, it's not. That's not the law, Commissioner Waters. You are totally wrong.
Well, this is the invitation, is to limit it to 3.
Okay, I can go along with that.
Okay. All right, Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This item is a follow-up item from the auditors. As you'll recall, there were 2 items we were finishing up that came out of the audit. This one is improvement point 15-4, which was related to the internal controls. The auditor recommended that the county adopt a formal written conflict of interest policy. You currently have an ethics policy, and they pointed us in the direction of one that they liked. We have written that for you, and the recommendation is that you adopt that and that this be incorporated into each agenda you have and be read at each meeting that you have.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to comment on that for a minute. I don't have a problem with the chairman saying anybody, at the beginning of the meeting, anybody's got any ethical conflicts, please let us know now. I think it's an insult to read the whole thing at the meeting. I really do. To me as a commissioner and to anybody else. I mean, we're sworn to be honest. If you're a crook, you're going to be a crook. I don't care how many of those things that you read.
If we know it's in place, then we're aware of the conflict of interest. And if someone has a problem, then they need to speak up and say, I need to excuse myself.
I'll make the announcement as long as I'm the chair, I'll make the announcement and everybody can govern themselves accordingly.
That was just a recommendation that it be read by the auditor.
Okay. Everybody's good with that?
I'm good.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
I have no problem reading it or whatever.
All right. Update on the emergency medical.
Do we need to vote on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor of that motion, raise, well, wait a minute. We didn't make a motion.
So moved.
I have
Second.
a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor?
Yeah, I'm in favor.
Opposed? Y'all have to forgive me. I got Carolina on my mind right now.
So do I.
Still got to go.
Update on emergency medical service.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you recall, there was a meeting last Friday morning of the Beaufort County EMS System Plan Oversight Committee. At that committee meeting, they discussed the recent actions of the Washington City Council to cease operations providing EMS services within the city and turn those activities over to the county, which is their statutory responsibility to ensure that it's done, not necessarily that they do it on July 1 of this year. After that meeting, or as a part of that meeting, Commissioner Belcher made a motion to recommend to the Beaufort County Commissioners that there be a committee appointed of 2 Beaufort County Commissioners and the county manager, 2 City of Washington council members, the city manager and the mayor, and that committee would be tasked with a 9-month deadline to come up with a resolution to present to the commissioners as to either the county assuming the duties of the EMS coverage in the current City of Washington coverage area or for the City of Washington to continue their current coverage. The 9 months would start April 1st. Whatever decision comes from the recommendation of the committee is to be implemented no later than 15 months from April 1, which would be July 1 of 17. The Board of Commissioners will recommend to the chairman the appointees, and the city mayor will appoint the 2 councilmen. This was seconded, and all those who were members of that committee voted in favor of it. I'll ask Commissioner Belcher if he has anything to add.
I read in the paper that the city council will take this up at their meeting, their next meeting, which is very soon.
It's the 11th.
Yeah.
Next Monday.
Another week out.
The motion included the caveat that everything in the county as far as EMS between the city and the county was concerned would remain the same for the next 15 months, and that period would close on July 1, 2017. If we do 9 months and we cannot come to a resolution, the committee will disband, and Brian will take the next 6 months to implement some sort of EMS in the city. Because then we will be responsible for it. But we have every intent of that committee, I hope, being able to come to some resolution on this and things go back to normal.
Yeah, essentially, our understanding, and we got some head nodding from the city representatives that they felt comfortable. They couldn't obviously say definitively because they didn't have a vote yet, but that they would agree to that 15-month essential stay of their actions from last Monday night.
Okay. Well, my suggestion is Commissioner Belcher, because he served on that committee, and I'd ask that I serve. Any objections from the board?
No.
Okay.
But I have a concern. I mean, if you're going to do this by consensus, I have a concern that we get dragged off of the original plan, which was to centralize or coordinate all of this EMSs in the billing, and I'm afraid that we're going to do something that's going to satisfy the city, and you're going to wind up with a fractured system, which you have now. You know, that was proffered in that meeting, oh, we'll write you a check for that $950,000 that y'all are coming up short every year. And we start doing that, the city starts running their own thing, and then you've got the rest of the county, and you've got this fractionated system that is still not working and is still costing us a lot of money, and you can't do centralized billing. So that's my concern here, that we're gonna wind up costing ourselves a lot more money and have a system that's not functioning any better than the system we've got now. And because of that, if you look at the fact that Washington takes care of Washington, Washington takes care of Washington Township, which the county pays them for, then you've essentially got another system in the eastern part of the county that takes care of the Belhaven area. Then you've got Bath, and then you've got three systems to the south. Really, it may be that all of these people should be sitting in on this meeting, maybe not have talking rights, but they should be there to observe, to make sure that we wind up with a coordinated system. Because that's my concern about this all along is I see a bunch of little things going on in the county writing checks, and I don't see any management. I don't see any coordination, and I don't see anything that's building toward what it should be building toward.
Well, I think these meetings, if I'm not mistaken, they'll be open to the public, so anyone who has vested interests in it, they're free to come, and certainly, maybe not during the actual meeting that you can say what you want to say, but you certainly can pull coattails and say, well, X, Y, and Z should be A, B, and C, so that we can have a committee that functions well together, and that when we get finished, that we have a product where everybody in the county is happy. Well, I might be asking too much saying everybody, but the majority of the county will be happy with the finished product.
Well, to that extent, then, I think we should invite all of the EMS units not to participate, but to sit in. Make them aware of these meetings. If they don't want to show up, that's fine. But if somebody wants to show up, they can.
I mean, because everything that we're going to do, we want to make sure it's above board, that everybody understands. And that's the whole ideal of it, that everybody understands. We're not doing any cryptic stuff, and so we welcome that. All right, that's all we have except for a closed session.
Yes.
You read or see, Kate?
Okay. What's the subject of the closed session?
Let Commissioner Booth do this first.
Katie sent out the email a couple of days ago. Mideast is having their annual meeting on the 22nd, and I would love to see some Beaufort County commissioners be there. It's going to be in a hospital.
What was that?
Mideast Commission.
Mideast,
yeah. And they're going to swear in the new officers on that date. It's at a Hosky Inn. If you have any questions, call Brian Buck at Mideast Commission.
The only thing, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but the only thing is, what is the subject of this closed session?
It's an attorney-client discussion.
About what?
About a matter that's attorney-client privilege.
But the subject should be stated that you're going into closed session for.
No, sir. According to the rules, if it is an attorney-client, unless there are specific things like property exchange, property sale or something, it's the attorney has conversations he needs to have with the board, which are privileged conversations.
All right. Whatever.
Katie.
Motion is needed to go into closed sessions under NCGS 143.318.11A3 to consult with an attorney employed and retained by the public body in order to resolve the attorney-client dispute between the attorney and the public body.
Okay.
So moved.
Have a motion? Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're back from our closed session, and as a result of our actions in the closed session, there will be no actions in open session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
All right, Rodney's here. Anybody that wants to ask him questions about the veterans thing in Belhaven?